Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Talking Skritt. I'm your host John, better known as Dale around Yak Span. We have a fantastic show for you. A new Living World episode is coming out next week. Raiders rejoice as a new raid wing is coming next week as well, so don't worry. And Decay Bug is causing a bit of a problem in ranked, and much more. But first, let me introduce you to my fellow host. He is a moderator over at MMO Champion. With the new raid, I suspect he is going to find a million ways to die in the West. I just hope it isn't a 5-year engagement. Say hello to Jim.
Oh, that's going to be interesting to see. I can't wait to see the new mechanics they come out with. I don't know when I'll have time to do it, but I really enjoy seeing the evolution of their style of development, so that's going to be fun to see.
Definitely. And he writes over on his blog, agegaming.wordpress.com, where he answers the age-old question. With Crichton political views being turned on its head, it is interesting. If you turn Queen Jenna on her head, her dress looks like Investor Dorian's hat. What does it all mean? Say hello to Age.
I need a picture of Queen Jenna real quick.
I have gone off the deep end this week with just random stuff, I won't lie. But look at it. It looks like Dorian's hat, but all right. And you can see his stuff over on Twitch and YouTube at MMO Inks. He made it easy to keep up with most of the other podcasts this week with all this stuff, just because I started following him on Twitter. That's how easy it is. He is the Kevin Bacon of Guild Wars 2 podcast. Say hello to Inks.
Kevin Bacon. I love Kevin Bacon. That's great.
Yeah, there you go.
The 6 degrees of MMO Inks.
There you go. We were even talking about it before the show. You said, what, 4 podcasts? So, see, you can always try to relate it back to your favorite Guild Wars 2 content creator. How does it get back to Inks? There you go. But so there you go. We made a game for everybody to play. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I want to see your ways. Like Wooden Potatoes. How does it get back to Inks? Let's start naming some. Aurora Peachy, Bog Hot, like this. But anyway, let's not play that game ourselves right now. We can do that in the comments on YouTube. Let us jump right into this past week. You know, like every other week, little bits of news. Not too much, right? That's nothing really happened. Except, they dropped.
The show.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry, it's just
Good job, great guys. Talk about it.
Yeah, Gemstore, whatnot. But no, they gave us a teaser trailer. We did say last week how they were saying that episode 4 was going to come out sometime in February. Well, lo and behold, it's coming out next week, which, I mean, it is in February. Didn't think it would be that soon. Happy it is. But it is called...
I'd like to say me and Milthanis actually said that it would probably be early next week, last week. Just want to put that out there that we were right. That's all.
Mostly because I was just like, oh, it's the end of the season. That's a pretty logical place to put it, because then you don't have people like PvP seasoning and PvE living storying.
Yeah,
right,
I think, and that's usually been their mentality beforehand. Like when it was like that was a good breaking point, and I know that was one thing a lot of people were speculating with, and a couple other in-game theories, and so I was hopeful for February 7th, but it was just shocking that so close. Maybe I'm so used to call-in style of like hype that it wouldn't have been till like the end of February. So I'm happy. I can't wait. But
I will say I was a little bit surprised that they're releasing the raid and story on the same day. I think I actually kind of prefer the raid to be released a week after. Now, other raiders will probably 1,000,000% disagree with that, obviously, but I don't know. I feel like they could have done Living Story on the 7th, and then the week after, new raid! So you've played the story, you've digested that content, and more content for you guys. Here you go.
Fair point.
But,
actually, maybe this time around, I know it would have been an outrage for general PvE players. I probably would have outraged, but if you saw Wooden Potatoes analysis, like someone put it on Reddit, but Bobby Stein actually responded to it and actually said, I know you're going to play the episode first, Wooden Potatoes, but before delving into the raid, you may want to before delving into episodes, you might want to go into the raid. You may want to poke your head inside for a peek on day 1, maybe even for 5 minutes. So
right.
you know,
Yeah.
I know as someone, I'm gonna throw him on commander tag and go in there and just be like, I'm gonna have a countdown clock, be like, okay, you got 5 minutes. Where is this thing?
Yeah. That's what I was wondering when they said they were going to release both on the same day. I was wondering if the story of the raid would be parallel to what's going on with living
Oh,
the episode, or would there be like a before after thing? And so it was going to be very interesting about playing both. But
I'm kind of wondering if the captain is going to show up again. What is it, Bennett?
Right,
Week
yeah.
one?
I like what
it'd be
Chat's
kind of
saying.
Good question.
Because we've said in the past about there should be like a raid or a story for the raid. What if the living story is the story for the raid?
It's like
Ooh,
they mentioned like there's a secondary assault going on a White Mantle fortification,
right.
and you know that because in the first raid we were referred to as mercenaries. So the pack commander was over that way doing things, and then the 10 people that cleared out the current raid wings were just a band of mercenaries who went, or a band of pact members that went after the lost squad. So what if something like this is they actually actively talk about, yes, there's currently an assault going on at the Bastion of the Penitent.
Yeah, I mean, could be. Could be that we follow the living story, and like you said, while we're doing living story stuff over here, this Bastion of the Penitent is getting assaulted by a team and allowing us to do living. It's kind of like Dragon Stand, right? Because Dragon Stand has the Force above ground doing dragony stand stuff, and then our team infiltrates into his mind.
Yeah, the meta event was basically distracting his body so that we could go punch him in the brain bits.
Yeah.
And I know in chat, Modgermoth is saying Ben is in Bloodstone Fen. Well, that is actually where the raid portal takes place. So it could still work out that,
Right.
And I've always liked that idea. Like, I think Rift did it with their raids eventually. They came out with instant adventures or just adventure types where, because people would always have that complaint of, I want to see the look of it and all that stuff. They kind of created a story that was like a small group went in a little bit beforehand or like scouted out or kind of gave a backstory to the raid, so then people could go in and you would see the map, you would see like maybe the characters, how they became what they were. And so I kind of like that in tandem. I don't know how likely it is from seeing the trailer, but honestly, we're getting really far ahead of ourselves. We didn't even name episode 4 is actually called The Head of the Snake, and that's once again February 7th. I realized we didn't even say the name. Like, that's how eager I am to get to lore bits. Sorry. Gonna have to
breathe, Theo. Remember to breathe.
Never. Not for the next like 2.5 hours or however long this takes. Abaddon will keep me safe. But yeah, I have the trailer actually right here, and then we can actually do a breakdown. Sorry, I have a lot of stuff this week. But yeah, you can see it right here. Now, it's not going to play with sound, but if you are watching this on YouTube, link will be in the description for the actual YouTube video if you want to see it in all of its glory. But I'd love to hear what you guys think about the trailer. Did it grab you? Did it hype you as much as it hyped me?
It did not. You were way over that.
Yeah, I don't think I can match the level of excitement that you're showing here, Deo, but that's mostly because of your love for prophecies, I think. And we're getting back into the White Mantle being an active force in the game, and I think you're just, like, geeking out over that particular bit. But just coming from, pretty much just playing Guild Wars 2, I kind of dig the interweaving of Jenna giving this, inspirational speech, so to speak, and then clearly an assault on Divinity's Reach, because, they're firing what look like bloodstone shards out of mortars, like laystone mortars, which is nuts, because we haven't seen anyone use laystone as a weapon since Mordremoth. So...
yeah. I mean,
like,
we know Cauticus wanted to weaponize Bloodstone. It appears he has on some level, at least.
Yeah, so, like, honestly, what I hope for is I kind of want an Attack on Lion's Arch event again, but with how they've been instancing story content, I don't know if that's going to happen.
Yeah.
But that's my hope. And that's kind of one of the things that I got psyched for, because it reminded me very much of the cinematic shot of the Aetherblade ships coming in over Lion's Arch and the Breachmaker coming down from the sky. Like that whole cinematic just kind of gave me that vibe, and I would very much like to see that.
It definitely gives me a feeling, especially with the explosions, like back to Guild Wars 1 Ascalon, like when basically the Char invasion struck the tutorial Ascalon. So yeah, I'm ready. I'm in. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm as excited as Deo, but I was definitely excited for this trailer. And, the trailer itself is full of a number of old shots or painting old shots to remind you of stuff that's happened. The Internet does that quite often with their trailers. But, there's a lot of nice little tidbits that you can pull from the trailer. I mean, you can see ley lines in the background of this new map area, and you can see centaurs who have been what appears to be corrupted by bloodstone. They have the red magic and eyes and stuff, and even one of them is holding a white mantle staff. So how is that related? Queen Jenna has a big speech that she's not good with speeches, because she gave a speech at the Queen's Pavilion and that didn't end so well. So we have
doesn't have a good track
Knights
record.
Apparently, who may or may not be defending the city. There's that shot of that Watchwork Knight, and there was a lot of little tidbits to pull out of this video. And I've seen some people talking about the different voiceovers that we get in the video and trying to figure out whose voice is this and stuff. And one of the things that you have to remember is all game companies, not just ArenaNet, but when they hire voice actors, they usually hire them for more than one voice. So they'll have Timey do Timey, but then they'll also have Timey do
Belinda.
NPC number 64 or Belinda or whatever, right? And so that voice, who a lot of people have been saying to me is Minister Estelle from Living World Season 2, also happens to be the voice of Air. And you can tell the similarities in the voice, even though they're slightly different. And
I guess Jennifer Hale wasn't quite available for this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because that was
the Queen's
voice.
Jennifer, chat's saying it's not Estelle.
Yeah, Jennifer Hale is the voice of Queen Jenna. I don't know if they got her for this, because I don't know.
Well, it sounded like it was new dialogue for Queen Jenna. I mean,
yeah, which I would think that they would get, the original voice actress for it, but I don't know if it's.
But I like how Inks is saying, like, Jenna doesn't have a good track record. I kind of hope that, because of course we're not seeing everything from, or like, I really want it now to be like Queen Jenna's giving her speech, and then she just sees one of those like mortar things coming over the wall, and she's like, and just cuts out there. Because of course, every time she gives a speech, something bad happens. But yeah, I guess we can go through each of the scenes. I coupled a little bit of them, but like some of them are short and probably, like Ink says, reuse stuff, so there's probably not much to speculate on, unless maybe chat knows stuff that we don't. But yeah, first up is basically it cuts into the city, the Divinity's Reach, panning up, and you see nighttime, lights, basically a view of the center area. So I really can't pull anything much out of that. I mean,
the one thing I've been seeing is people are like, they better not kill the mobile.
Oh yeah.
That's above the garden. Yeah, like people are apparently going to be pissed if the mobile gets destroyed.
Yeah, I think this trailer actually kind of showed off the upper levels of Divinity's Reach, because you're always traveling around there, but you don't really see it from a overview perspective unless you're at a Vista or something. But it's actually pretty cool to see it at that like it's that high, the garden. I never knew it was that high above all the buildings and stuff. So that was interesting.
Actually, that's a good point that you're making. Like, they do show a lot of scenes from the upper level, which might be a subtle thing. Which I don't know if it's this is just what hit me. But if they did this, like, awesome by the people that done the trailer. But if it's just showing the upper levels, and this is maybe where they're focusing the attack, that's probably what Caudicus would want to do, because he's trying to get people on his side. So he doesn't want to attack, the common, masses. He wants to possibly injure, the royals, the
nobles.
Yes. So if that's the case, that's
no. Oh no, I'm falling into the trap. Damn it.
Oh, come on.
What if he starts riots in the streets? It's like, Jenna can't protect us. Riles up all the people. Oh, that would be so good.
I mean, maybe that's why he gets the centaurs on his side. Maybe he's going to use them as the evil face.
Wow. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. When we actually get to the scene with the centaur, I'll talk about it a bit more, but the events where centaurs take up land in Queensdale, depending if you're winning or losing, they'll take up more and more, or they'll take up less. I feel like that either might be part of the story or might be part of new content that we might see, just to, like keeping the world alive type of deal. So that might actually be part of something new that we actually see as temporary content. Kind of like how current events are.
And I'm looking at chat, like, kind of like what Jim said, and now what Kate's saying is, these different areas, because Divinity's Reach is a beautiful place, and I love that it's like people want to defend it. Like, it's like, no, don't. I could see Kate's character standing in front of the aquarium, like, no, get away. Like, everybody in their spot, like, no, this is my area. So
that's one of the things that I think is amazing about the fact that ArenaNet is willing to destroy major cities, because very clearly they've put a great deal of work into making these places look amazing. Hell, I want to see an assault on the Black Citadel, because that would be like a crazy-ass military operation, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That would be very interesting, just because Char seem militant by just
default.
Just by default, yeah. So it'd be. I would love to see that, actually. That'd be pretty fun.
And the next scene they showed, and I've seen a lot of people make the comment of it, but this is Jenna giving her speech, and just the animation of the character speaking is just has progressed so well throughout all their cutscenes, because this does look like cutscene from the game.
Yeah, that was honestly one of the best things for me in this trailer. The actual improvement of animation of the facial expressions and actual proper lip movement when speaking and stuff like that. It actually looks really accurate. So I was actually really happy. I guess that's the developer in me, I guess. I don't know. But it's kind of happy to see that improvement made. And there was a kind of an unexpected thing too. So kudos to the animation team for that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting because not just her mouth movement, which better mimics the words, but the facial expressions as well. They're getting much better at conveying. You can even in this short trailer, you can see she has whatever she's saying at this moment. She has a very stern, hard look, and then it softens to whatever she says after that, right? So, it shows different sides of the character as well, delivering the speech, which is nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree with that.
In the next scene, we have two what look to be, white mantle soldiers. One here in the phalanx armor, I believe, with a white mantle. I believe that's from the raid hammer, and It looks like bladed chests, and then also the the Halloween shoulders from the first year, which maybe that means they'll make a return somehow more consistently. I can hope.
Well, the bladed necromancer guy that's the full set of armor.
It is?
Where is Bleeded from?
Verdant
Brink.
Brink.
Those
Yeah, that's the whole
shoulders.
set.
Those
I
shoulders.
know they look like the Halloween ones, but believe it or
okay.
not, the shoulders and the whole outfit that's the complete set he's wearing there. The
alright.
knight with the hammer is what they use in the raids for the White Knights.
That's the Phalanx outfit. That's the
Yeah.
Phalanx armor. That's what they've been using for the White Mantle Templars.
I kind of wonder if that knight in particular is the one that was with Codicus from episode 1.
Yeah, maybe he's like a particular character or something that has a name. I don't know.
Yeah. Time to re-dye my Phalanx armor.
But
White,
it's
gold,
also
and red?
interesting around it. Basically, it shows rubble and stuff. So either maybe they're invading Divinity's Reach or a close by place. If we get a new map, who do we? I mean, with the Necromancer guy, you can kind of see Divinity's Reach behind him. So I'm assuming he's in Divinity's Reach.
Yeah, or maybe outside of it. You can see a lot of these classic Crichton walls here that you see in a lot of maps. Yeah, very cool.
Next scene we have is the pan down in the throne room, which, a lot of people have always speculated that big rock there is either the keystone or another part of the bloodstone, which would have similar qualities, we assume, of the one that was blown up in the bloodstone fen. But so
Which
maybe
would
we get more. Go ahead.
Well, then that would be another reason as to why Codicus' factions of the White Mantle would attack Divinity's Reach, because they want that.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So-
Yeah. Can we have this as a guild hall decoration? I know it's massive, but
Oh,
So what?
materials you'd need.
You would have to. Well, no, because the track record is you'd get all those like materials to build something like that, and then they'd give you like a tiny little shard, and be like, "Wait, what?" Yes, I'm still bitter about the globe thing.
You plant the shard and it becomes that entire building.
But yeah, hopefully it starts telling us more about that and what it really is, and so we can all move on with our lives. But next up is a character we have not seen in the game, as far as I know. People have been looking, and I don't think anybody has found a character like just wandering or anything like that. But so we don't have a name for this person. I called him Goldilocks in our file, but
Goldilocks.
Isn't he one of the ministers from the nobility?
Yeah. That's
well,
what
he's dressed like a minister, but I don't know if
Right.
he ever is talking during one. I haven't played that line in so long,
I
but
played it like once, and I thought that was the guy from the
That's-
Noble storyline.
That's the forum where you fight the one
Yes.
minister.
Right.
yes.
So it's possible that he's there. He's not the minister you fight, because that guy had brown hair. I remember that.
Mhm.
Mostly because I thought the guy was a complete dick, and I wanted to punch him through my computer screen. So
Yeah.
that voice actor did a fantastic job of making me very, very annoyed with his character. So, A+ acting there. But yeah, that's definitely the forum for the Noble's Court. So clearly we're dealing with another noble, which is nice that we're finally getting some kind of resolution.
Which I think is
Right.
interesting. I've heard a lot of people instantly say like, "Oh, he's telling us to stand up and fight," because he does deliver a line right after Queen Jenna's speech of, this is your moment. This is where you decide whether you stand up, against this and for this. But you think about it, just because they paired it right next to Queen Jenna's speech, it sounds like he might be in favor. But Codicus
It's
is also a
very-
minister. He's a minister. We don't know if he's corrupt as well or bad as well, because you could take it from the other side. He could be going in there convincing people to join Codicus, possibly.
We don't know how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Yes, then that was one thing I thought was interesting when I started listening to it. I'm like, to be fair, people are only assuming it because they're hearing Queen Jenna's speech first, which throughout the video you see Queen Jenna, this minister guy, or what looks like a minister, Queen Jenna again, and then Estelle. Like, you see like it kind of matches up that they're showing possibly other sides.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I want him to be kind of good, but he might be a bad guy.
Yeah. For some reason, I want him to be Lord Farron's brother. I don't know why.
Well, Kate said in chat that it might be Casimir's brother.
Yeah, I've heard that theory from people before, and that would be pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
To see the, the black sheep that is her brother become, more than what he, to reform himself and.
Then it'd just be nice to see
make
more.
up for past deeds and stuff.
Or to be devil's advocate, it still is in the pocket of all the money he owes.
Yeah. Still has a gambling problem and now owes Caudicus money or something.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I mean, wait, isn't the shooting range closed because Caudicus had people there or something in Divinity's Reach? Maybe he lost all of his money at the shooting range.
Wow. I actually wanted to see Casimir this episode, please. I know she wasn't. That'd be nice.
I would be surprised if she isn't, because this is so Divinity's Reach and human-centric, like...
Well, didn't she basically get a job with the Shining Blade?
Well, she's like a super elite mesmer group with Anise.
Yeah, she's working with directly with Anise at this point.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of silly to not see her in this episode, I think.
Yeah.
Unless Anise is like, oh yeah, I sent her away on a special mission because reasons.
Because we can't get the voice actor.
Oh boy. Zoja all over again.
No.
Next up looks like a kind of quickly set up camp, but it does fly the White Mantle banner, so it looks like it's a quick outpost, or stuff that we've seen our character or Crichton's set up all across the Crichton area and even Maguma. So, I mean,
yeah, I love this shot. I love that they're very classic sort of defenses and walls that they've built for the Crichton region, and there's a brokenish whatever White Mantle flag, so it's just
that might be one of the camps in Kessex Hills.
it might be taken over. I mean, they're never against rechanging maps. I mean, Kessex Hills was an example. Maybe instead of centaurs invading those camps, it's now we have to push maybe centaur and White Mantle out, or just maybe White Mantle, or...
And Kate's right, it is the same asset, so it's like, we can't entirely be certain, but if the White Mantle is attacking Divinity's Reach, setting up shop in any of the Crichton zones, taking over already in place fortifications, it'd be sensible.
This particular area puzzles me because there's clearly a mountain range or something behind it, and it's very forested wherever it's at.
Yeah, like chat's saying, possibility, the one that's near Claypool, that. It looks similar to that. It would be taking it at one particular angle, because there is, if I'm remembering correctly, there's a lot of those camps there. So seeing only one of them.
I was going to go with Claypool as well, because it looks like the Centaur camps there.
In the next scene, we get what I like to call the Watchwork Fembot. Now it looks like it's outside, which is kind of foreign, just because unless it's taken a real low angle and you don't see any walls in Divinity's Reach, but you kind of see trees, so it seems like it's outside of the map of Divinity's Reach, which we haven't. For the longest time, we haven't seen any Watch Knights outside of Divinity's Reach since Scarlet messing with them.
You can see Divinity's Reach in the background. It's a silhouette there, right?
Yeah.
So this is what appears to be something away from it. And it's interesting, right? Like you were saying, Scarlet took over and manipulated a good deal of the Watch Knights. It surprised me a little bit that they're still in service to the Queen, since they're apparently somewhat easily corruptible. You know what I mean? Wouldn't you worry about that? Be like, well, we have these Watch Knights left over, but, well, if Scarlet could hack them, then maybe somebody else could too. Is that really safe to...
QED convinced that that's definitely one of the raid bosses.
Oh, Crazy Killer beat me to it. I was going to make the joke that that's the top of the Wizard Tower, floating towards us. The battle station. I mean, we only see that little bit. It very well could be. We start getting, unless the Wizard Tower actually moves, which, as far as we know, possibly can. I don't know. It's never
magic.
Well, I guess
it's
it has
magic and
because
floating. I would think it can move.
Yeah. So maybe it floats over here. Maybe that's the new map. We don't know.
Oh, that's true. Never know.
But next up, we actually see a kind of sad face of Minister Wee, and he's kind of been like one of the good ministers that we could have relied on, and kind of the rest of his family, because wasn't his wife a member of the Order or the?
Yeah, she's a member of the Order of Whispers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't know if he knows that, but she is. Oh snap!
I didn't even think of that. I always just assumed because he seemed like he was nice to us. So like, why don't they share secrets? I overlooked that. Yeah, that could be interesting. Because it just seems like he's being a human in like the setting. I could see him being like, because I think a lot of stuff Codicus is talking about is like, the royals are taking the ministry's like rights and able to speak and have a voice, which I could see if Minister Wee's kind of this just existing type of person. He's like, yeah, you're kind of right. Like, he's not being evil. He's the one being manipulated. He might be the victim, but it would be horrible to see like that divide between him and his wife. So that would be interesting if he's not fully aware. Go ahead.
Demi.
Yeah,
Demi Beatles.
Yeah, I've always wanted to see her make a reappearance, just because she is, the daughter of Codicus, which.
Yeah, it's interesting because we never do, as a player character, we never do find out exactly what she knows when you do that. If you choose that story step, they just they don't tell you, right? So, what does the Order of Whispers know, and how long have they known about, everything that's happening or is about to happen? I guess.
Yeah. So maybe she knows how to. Oh my God. Lord Codicus is flying the Wizard's Tower. We can't stop him, but the daughter knows the plans of how to destroy the Wizard's Tower. This might be like something that might be Star Wars, but we must go there.
There's a sewer port. There's a sewer pipe hanging from the bottom of the tower that we can get into.
That's how we'll get in. We'll take the we'll take an airship right next to the Wizard's Tower and jump in the exhaust port.
Oh,
exactly. There we go.
Man.
Fight our way to Codicus. And then
if that actually happens, I might just be like, I'm out.
Can you imagine?
They'd be like, we have no idea where we got that inspiration from. Oh yeah.
They suddenly hired John Williams to help compose for the game.
Yeah, watch everybody's hiring things. If he gets in there, we know. We already have the results.
We know. Yeah.
It could work. Tommy can make Mr. Sparkles too. It's like it's the R2D2, and then
Scruffy 2.0 is R2D2.
Time. Oh.
I'm not drunk, Chad. I'm drunk on lore and the possibilities. Hey, in some version of the myths, we're right. That's all I'm saying. So, we just have to get there. Next up, we have what looks like a bloodstone elemental, kind of surrounded by fire. So I think it's kind of like the white mantle thing, like just another of their soldiers in the wreckage of possibly Divinity's Reach. I mean, we kind of see, like Ink said before, we kind of see that wall again. Like, it's so popular in Crichton architecture.
It's really hard to see. There's some kind of scaffolding down by his feet when it pans around. It looks like a stairway or wooden palisade or something. It's really hard to kind of tell, but we see these guys in Bloodstone Fen. I mean, I think that's where we first encountered them.
Yep, that's the first place where the Bloodstone Elementals show up.
You kill them, and then they explode into little mini ones, and they want to explode.
And if you fight a champion one, it just throws out tiny ones whenever you hit it, and it's really freaking annoying. I spend most of that fight on my glider shooting at the damn thing. I refuse to be on the ground for that fight.
I just like it because then you kill something and you like start to walk away. It's like you get hit again. I was like, oh, still not done yet. Click, click, click. Nope, still not done yet.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah. So hopefully we'll find out more. It looks like, you know, they're bringing out all the stops. So yeah, if they're attacking Divinity's Reach, we might be in trouble. Then kind of like how Ink said at the beginning, they use kind of like old scenes, and I think this one's mostly I like it as the dragon sandwich. They show something of I want to say Svanir, that's not right. Jormag, that's it, and then Primordus. So, you know, I think this is also during her Queen Jenna's speech of like, you know, we're having trouble on both sides with dragons, and then
dealing with 2 elder dragons, yeah.
So
that's the giant ice sculpture in Bitterfrost Frontier, and then the one destroyer that's inside like the caldera.
Molten Dominator.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, these are just reminder screens for players to say, 2 dragons! Don't forget the 2 dragons story.
They're still there.
Screenshots.
We didn't forget about them either.
So I wonder, is this episode going to, you know, clearly this is a human politics-driven episode with White Mantle and Queen Jenna and all that, but I wonder if they will still touch on, you know, what's happening in the alternate storyline.
Yeah. And
more human stuff
question
that I don't care about.
No, human stuff is amazing.
No, I'm just the Bram quote, and it's just more human stuff that I don't care about, and I'm like,
oh, Bram.
And that's when your character should just be like, give it to them. Their race is on the way out. Even Queen Jenna said that a couple years ago. It's on the brink of destruction.
Humans are having a hard time.
Yeah. And QED even actually makes a good point. Like, what's the PAC's role in all this? I mean, PAC was basically kind of broken, but yeah, I'm wondering what like the single soldiers kind of like Almora, like what she's going to be doing.
Clearly. Well, Almora is trying to find a new marshal. Like the heads of the orders are trying to name a new marshal.
Right.
So clearly they're trying to get the Pact back up and running as a military force. So, I don't know.
They pop in at the end after all this, and they're like, "Are you sure you don't want to be the leader?" It's like, "No, leave me alone. I got my own thing."
Last chance.
We have a lot of people here, but if you say so, we'll cross them all off.
Yeah. See, that was the thing that kind of made me laugh. It's like, we want you to be the new marshal. I'm like, oh, well, this is kind of cool for the story, but we don't think you should be on the front lines. It's like, oh, that would be a very boring story.
Season 3 paperwork simulator.
Press F to sign orders.
I was gonna say it's like the end of what was it, Fable 3, where they just come up with you with like 2 prompts. Do you want to support this or do that? That's all you get to do.
Signposts.
Yeah.
No. It's the end of Guild Wars 2. After we defeat everybody, we just take a desk job and live out our life in peace.
Oh, then we do cutthroat politics all over again. It'd be great.
Hey, Herotron got his cushy job in Lion's Arch, so
it's true.
He's our R2D2. Anyway, Let's not go back into that one.
Okay.
We see the ministry guard actually just strutting his stuff real quick. So hopefully, because we have the ministry here, which in personal story was kind of maybe not all of them, but a select few were kind of working against the Seraph and kind of Divinity's Reach. They were kind of working with bandits and stuff like that, like getting them out of prison, which, I mean, later on we find out some bandits led out to be White Mantle. We don't know if all of them were, but maybe Ministry is like kind of surprise, surprise, we've been here the whole time, haha. So we might get flanked, which might be a...
Yeah, the Ministry Guard is interesting because they work for the ministers. They are, they're controlled, or at one point they were controlled by Caudicus. He was their main boss because he was the head minister. The minister, Legat? I'm saying that wrong. I know I am.
Legate minister.
The legate. I always say Legat. I don't know why. Legate. He was the legate minister, so he was their boss. But now that he's gone, I don't know who their boss is. I don't know who kind of took Caudicus's spot. But yeah, it's
maybe it was Estelle when she even makes that thing in the trailer of like, when he gave me the power and stuff, like maybe he gave her the ability, like as head minister or something. And I always found that interesting that we seen in the story the Ministry Guard letting out bandits. If they're the ones that are controlling the prison, how is this arresting Estelle gonna work? Like,
yeah, exactly. Open this door.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, open this door. I can't. That's not my order. Well, you're fired. It's like, well, okay, you got me there. I'll go get someone else. But yeah, so I speaking of which, the next scene actually shows Estelle and what looks like Minister Wee kind of conversing there. So it looks
that's his
like...
wife. That's Minister Wee's wife. Yeah.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. She has a very dangerous look about her, doesn't she? Yeah, that's his wife. So that's Minister Wee and his wife.
My bad.
Lady Wee. I don't know if they tell us her first name. They might.
The Whispers agent. Yeah.
Yeah, she's the Whispers agent. And she's got this very, again, with the facial expressions, the way she rolls her eyes and sort of looks around, she's very like,
like blasé,
looking
about
out
it, like,
for whatever. Yeah, she just has this particular expression that's great.
Yeah,
I love it.
I'm really enjoying the fact that they're using in-game assets for animation.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of keeps you in the world, which, kudos to them. Next up, we just have a scene of an outpost. It doesn't look like there's any banners on it or anything like that. But it kind of follows the same structure as like the one we previously saw, just different style because it has like kind of like the towers.
Something interesting that I pointed out that I've seen some other people miss is the guards there are Shining Blade. You can see the shields on their back are the same shields that Thackeray uses, and you can even see their uniforms. You can see on the far side of the one pillar the white tunic that they wear, and so those are Shining Blade guards guarding this outpost. And with the article from Massively OP, they had a screenshot of like a town or something with the Dolyak inside, and on the backdrop looked like houses and stuff. So this looks like that could be this area. You can see a well as it pans through the door. You can see a well in the background, and houses or something against the mountainside there. So looks like a Shining Blade, or looks like a Queen-controlled town or fort or a fortification or something. There's a big gate, so maybe it gets attacked. Maybe there's an event or something that happens.
I was gonna say when you mentioned the Shining Blade there, I was like that kind of rustic camp reminds me of the original one from War and Kraita, where that's kind of like where they staged their fight. Like they just had like a camp, and then they then took over Lion's Arch and all that stuff. I kind of like the idea of like, what if we get pushed back and this is like maybe a last fortified place where they would take the queen, and it's like heavily guarded by Shining Blade, which are the personal, guards of the queen. So yeah, hopefully it's a spot in the story, or maybe a defense event or something along those lines. Next up, we have what looks like a Bloodstone corrupted Oak-Heart, and also a little bit of an Earth Elemental. So this is gonna be interesting.
I don't know. I don't know if. Oh wait, no, I saw.
Yeah, it has like the red vapors coming off it.
Yeah.
I don't know about the Elemental, since we always see our like hands.
The Elemental, I totally missed my first time through. I thought it was like a hero point, but when I seen other people slow the footage down, you can see
it's the hands,
like the fingers.
Yeah.
It's like the attack on like the human starter area.
Yeah,
Right,
or
I
Harathi
know that.
Hinterlands, or So maybe we actually get to see one of these fully summoned.
Right, and this is centaur magic. The centaurs, the shamans, or whatever, they summon these earth elementals. These two hands that do whatever,
Yeah. The Oak-Heart is actually corrupted. Is one of the bosses you have to fight for a legendary. I forgot which one, but it's near the waypoint for Shadow Behemoth. To the left of that, that's where that one's located. It looks a lot like it.
Oh, okay.
That Oak-Heart looks exactly like it. So.
Oh,
I was gonna say, I thought you meant it was already blood crazed. I was like, wait a minute, but okay.
Not blood. I don't think it's blood crazed. It's corrupted, not blood crazed.
You're talking about that one Oak-Heart it's like in a grove that's in like a small hollow that's got like.
Yeah, it looks a lot like it.
I think you have to fight that for Nevermore. I think I had to help Krista with that one.
Does that one have the blood wisps coming off of him like this one does?
No, I don't think so.
No, that's it.
That's what makes it interesting.
Right,
He has an incredibly unique
eyes and
yeah.
And kind of like what Jim was saying originally, like what if they start altering Queensdale? Since I know they kind of try to wipe out bosses in the champions in the starter area for champ trains, but they kind of brought back they had the bandits, which, if you're new and you run into those, I feel sorry when I run into them, and I'm slightly better well geared than a new player, and I say slightly.
The regular bandits are not too terrible to deal with because they're predictable. Once you get knocked around by their attacks, you can almost solo them. Just, if you kind of pay attention to what they do. But if you happen to luck out, and I say luck, and, there's like 80 bajillion quotes on either side of that word, and get an executioner spawn.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just happy we don't have a physics engine in this game, because I'd end up in the Shiver Peaks. Like Skyrim style with giants. Whack.
Yeah. Yeah, so I like the idea of like maybe they ramp up the Oak-Heart, or maybe one of the centaurs gets to that spot where they were summoning the first elemental, and maybe it's now maybe Queensdale will have a meta event or something where you have to stop this or it rampages.
Remember those that one-off event? What was it? Where we had like a bunch of champions. I forgot what it was called.
You mean during the beta?
No, not during the beta. It was like first year, I think. Anyway, it was like I think it was in. Anyway, it was like a bunch of champions spawn. I think it was Aetherblade actually. I think about it.
Something like when Scarlet was invading certain zones?
Yeah, I think it was like Scarlet's invasion, something like that. It was like a bunch of champions and just a bunch of portals coming out, and there's champions or just elite mobs and things like that. I was kind of wondering if they would do something like that in Queensdale, but on a not so farm-like scale, so that it's more for fun, and you actually just do the event and you get rewards for, and that's kind of how you do it.
I've been kind of wondering if they were going to try and use like future content updates to try and put meta events into older maps. Just as, not necessarily as a, we're trying to erase old content, but more like this is what you as a player getting into, like you create a new account, you're a new player, and you've got it in Queensdale, and doing Queensdale and, Renown Hearts, and then going into Heart of Thorns content, it's almost like two different games that are running on the same engine. So it'd be nice to see, and it's like, yeah, we're giving you a new map with every content release. Yeah, we're completely overhauling Queensdale. It's a new map.
Wow.
Which, honestly, if they keep like the Shadow Behemoth in there, out of all the starter areas, I would say Queensdale would be the one where they try to one-up it, because so many times I hear when it's someone new to start playing, usually people, it seems like, pick human, and of course it's the wrong choice. You go Norn, but I always hear people like, they finally get the Shadow Behemoth. They're like, wait, this is a world boss and this is a starter area? Like,
right.
And like, what if they're now like, oh yeah, we have that. Oh, and also there's a big giant summoning like elemental that's gonna just ruin us, and maybe that O card or something like.
Well, there was a current event series where we had to fight a bunch of blood-crazed animals all over Tyria because the bloodstone exploded and kind of infected them. I'm wondering if this is either remnants of that, or is this guy going to be in the area where we see the cannons shooting, or maybe some of the cannonballs land in parts of Queensdale or wherever and infects the ground, infects that area.
So you're wondering if he's collateral or if he's actually being used by the White Mantle.
Right. My thought process is that he and other creatures are going to be collateral damage to Caudicus' Siege of Divinity's Reach, and it corrupts nature around it.
I do have a question. That WoW, when I said the reworking of Queensdale, was that a WoW that's a good idea, or a WoW that would be terrible? I'm curious.
No. I think it's a good idea in the sense that it will drive players back to Queensdale. Like you were saying, one of the problems with Heart of Thorns, or with any expansion really, is that the old maps get a lot less foot traffic than they used to, unless there's some kind of farm there to draw players into it. And I think that's definitely true with newer maps as well. Every time there's a new map, players run to that new map, and the old maps see less foot traffic. And so I think it's a good idea to go through some of these maps, refresh the events that are there, or even add new ones that will drive players back to those maps to re-experience them, and then Arena gets more value out of those maps than they currently do.
Okay.
This next scene they showed off was basically just a White Mantle flag amongst just like, you see like a fire and like a bunch of rubble. So maybe we defeat them. Maybe they just showed us a spoiler. Doubtful, but.
Or that's them raising their flag over a defeated outpost.
Ooh.
There's a ley line in the background.
Yeah,
you see the
ley line. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Something is on fire that has a White Mantle flag outside of it.
Yeah.
And there's a ley line in the background that we.
I think this is one of those scenes that's going to make more sense when we actually get to play it, because there's not much to go off of. But
those are buildings in the background, like farther past the ley line.
Yeah, some kind of outlines.
Yeah, those are like the rooftops of Divinity's Reach, of like Crichton-style city buildings. And that could be ship rigging? What's that one port city in the one port town in, what is it? Is it in Queensdale where you do the what is it, the one priory quest where there's the guy who is like infected? He took an Orion relic and he's corrupted.
Oh, no, that's in Gandharan.
Okay. Because it looks almost like rigging in the foreground. So I'm wondering if it's like a shot from like above a ship into going inland. Triskel Quay, yeah.
Well,
Wow,
maybe it's rigging
really
because
know their locations.
Yeah. Maybe
I
it's
never would have been able to pull that from thin air.
yeah. I don't know the names of them that well. So, wow. Maybe it is a ship rigging. Maybe the Aether Blades are on our side. Maybe they flew in and are like, no, we're here to defend you guys. Correct history or something.
Or they're gonna loot us all.
That too.
Yeah, some people are saying if we're, maybe we get a dock area of Divinity's Reach, and this could be, this area could be taken over by White Mantle or whatever.
Yeah.
Do we have
boy.
a dock area?
No, a long time ago in Divinity's Reach, early in beta, and you never even seen it in early betas, but there's been data mining and stuff a long time ago about original Divinity's Reach had a dock region that they removed.
What was it? It's Lake Doric to the north of DR, and it's like
right
a big. It's like the Great Lakes in North America style kind of lake size.
Someone mentioned in my stream that might be the new map. That they were hoping it was one of the new maps.
It's interesting because Lindsay Murdoch, one of the ArenaNet developers, so the Chinese had this thing where one of their portals took them to Lake Doric by accident. So problem in the code, and instead of taking them to Divinity's Reach, it took them to Lake Doric. But the old, unfinished Lake Doric. That was, and she came into that Reddit thread and she basically said, look, this is an unfinished map from pre-beta alpha stuff that we worked on briefly, but we ended up dropping the map from development, and this is just the unfinished map, and this is not going to, I don't have her exact quote, but she said something like, this is not going to be the new map. That's what she said.
Yeah, and chat is having kind of the same thing of, yeah, they did say that on Reddit, but it was interesting because they did word it in a way. I don't have the exact wording anymore, but I remember that shaman actually saying, and I think once the trailer hit, that it's intriguing because you'll see later some of the later scenes, and if you watch Wooden Potatoes video, and a lot of people that analyzed it, where they're saying like it looks like we're being attacked from kind of like the north or northeast, or so we can't get to the northeast of Divinity's Reach unless there's a new map. But yeah, the wording of it was kind of awkward in the sense of like it did say something like it's not going to be the next map, something like that. So it leaves a little bit of leeway. Like technically, it could be episode 5.
Plenix just brought up a really good point in chat. Part of the scene, and I think we might get into it, is you see the mortars hit the dam that's to the southwest of Divinity's Reach.
Yeah, we can pop over to that. I labeled it as Kaboom Wall.
Accurate.
But
yeah, and I think Wooden Potatoes talked about that as well, which didn't even occur to me. Like I looked at the landscape and said, "Oh, it's a blasted landscape," but it really does look like water used to be there, and then they blow the dam up, and water is no longer there. It drains, obviously, right? So I think that that's a pretty good theory of that, because when you see the cannonballs hit, you do see that splash of water at the base. So
yeah, and like Inks is saying, I think this one might show out like the dried out river, what looks like a dried out riverbed.
Look to the top left. That's DR in the top left. So yeah, Plenix is right, southeast. I was wrong. So yeah. And I can't tell. There's already it's like they formed a pre-existing ley line, and they're kind of traveling along. They're using guided missiles.
Certainly looks that way, doesn't it?
They're using ley-guided missiles. This is nuts.
Yeah, it's maybe our character has to use ley line gliding and just literally run into them. Be like, we have the ability to live through it.
Well, that's because we have names.
Exactly. Just don't dye your armor red. That's never good.
But this screenshot we're looking at, you can see, dry docked boats and what appears that this docking system that used to have lots of water apparently, And even the area that this cannon is in, it looks like a river, like a dried up riverbed or whatever, right? So you can see more buildings in the background. This is like the outer wall of Divinity's Reach.
Yeah. And yeah, chat's even saying like the projectiles actually look like the thermal tubes that we've used, and yeah, it definitely looks like similar.
Similar particle effects.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're firing White Mantle soldiers into that wall and causing that explosion.
Maybe they're encased in the... They're using the bloodstone golems to encase their soldiers so they can drop them in. Boom.
Bloodstone power armor.
Yeah. I don't think
The
that's
latest
gonna
in the latest in golem technology.
New
There's
master
also
launch
like a burning
cannon.
city in the background when it, like right at the base there, when it pans over. There's a burning town of some sorts. I mean, this looks like a new map area to me, but
Honestly, chat, if the new mastery is launching yourself from a cannon and there's no reference to Gonzo, I'm gonna be upset. That's all I'm saying.
As long as there's a part where you can fire a chicken out of the cannon.
There's a hard event where you have to find blood crazed chickens to put in there.
God.
Next up, let's look at the Centaur, and I called it the Centaur Force Choke. But well, it goes back to your whole it goes back to the Star Wars reference. Look at that. He's kind of doing the Vader Force Choke. But yeah, it's interesting that you kind of see him using a white mantle staff, and definitely is blood crazed. I don't think there's any hiding that.
yeah, so that's the same staff Matthias uses, which maybe just means he has some higher authority within the White Mantle or something. But yeah, you can definitely see the Bloodstone magic, or the Bloodstone craze is all around him. It looks like he's harnessing that power or something.
This is not what Ventari wanted for you.
Which actually made me start to think of when we were talking about like the Bloodstone golems or elementals, and kind of we saw the big earth elemental. What if this guy is summoning a giant Bloodstone earth elemental type thing? Like maybe literally all made out of bloodstone.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So like the Bloodstone version of that earth elemental.
Hello, teapot friends. And your raid. How are you today?
Yeah, it's definitely interesting of what it... I was thinking in my head, maybe they're giving us an incentive to kill him. What if he pops him and goes, he takes credit like Cormier. He's like, I killed Matthias. No one else. Just me. That was me.
The centaur, like a group of centaurs just kind of rolled through the old raid and just kind of picked up Bloodstone magic and stuff.
Yeah.
And White Mantle weaponry.
Yeah, and he's taking credit
And then
for it.
took credit. Clearly.
I have this feeling like they're colluding with the White Mantle somehow. The White Mantle has somehow convinced them, very Scarlet-esque, right? Has convinced them to join their cause and kill humans, which centaurs would be very happy to oblige to, especially the ones in Krita. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they're like promising like land back, and possibly just not following up with it. But
well, an easy way to do it is we will cede Harathi to you.
Yeah,
that's an easy negotiation with the centaurs. Is like cede Harathi and part of Gendaran to them.
Right. Yeah, definitely could be.
Don't worry, Madramoth. We're gonna get to the Gemstore rants. We'll get there later.
But I like this one. It's the Jenna pout face.
But I will have to say before we get into that is I do agree with Madramoth. They made that centaur ripped.
Yeah. There she is. She's angry. Ugh. I forget what she's saying at this part, but she is. That stern face.
Yeah. Once again, it kind of shows like what you were saying, how it's not only just the like mouth and stuff. It's like she her forehead, slumps, and she's not happy. So
she gets the glare, she gets the head tilt. Like they're doing really good with the whole expression here. What? Yeah. Accurate. What the hell, Ministry? That's great.
Then it cuts to a scene of Centaur stampeding, which, I'm sure because we saw the super-powered Centaur that, they've joined forces, and now we have to deal with Centaurs as well. I mean, is there anything you guys were able to pull out? Like, the rock face tells us it's in, like, Dork? I don't know. I couldn't see anything.
I'm really worried about them updating the Centaur Trample to work like the Terragriff charge.
Oh, don't say that. Why'd you say that?
Is that I'm not familiar. Is that like a knockdown or
the Terragriffs from Silver Wastes?
Oh, right. Okay, the Terragriffs.
Where they charge
yeah.
and their hitbox is like 50 to 60% larger than their actual bodies, and you just get kind of trained on.
And if there's two of them, you might as well stun locked. Like it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I can see it. I could see, if you get in the middle of the stampeding centaurs, gonna have a bad time. You're gonna get knocked around.
I think you're muted, Age, if you were.
Yeah, sorry. I was gonna say that's the reason I play Guardian Silver Waste, because I hate getting knocked all over on my thief. So I'm like, no, stability blocks, good times.
And the last scene they kind of showed was basically the siege raining down upon what looks like Divinity's Reach, and then just smoldering craters, and then we get the title, The Head of the Snake. So, oof. What are your guys overall? I think we kind of talked about, definitely looks like Divinity's Reach is in trouble, but overall, what are you guys expecting from the story? I mean,
death.
Well, if we're gonna lose parts of Divinity's Reach here, there's gonna be some problems. Honestly, I'm still, like I said before we started really getting into this, I'm really hoping for an Attack on Lion's Arch style world event. But since they haven't really been doing world events much lately, not really holding my breath for it. But it'd be nice, because
what if they did a current event like a week after the story airs? So we get the living story, and whatever happens in the living story happens, and then we get some sort of current event where it is like, a Siege of Divinity's Reach or something like that to sort of further that, and that way that they can do those events like they used to do in LA when that was a big, under Scarlet Siege and stuff.
That's one of the things, like, I kind of miss the larger missable events, but I don't know. That's kind of me. I know that's not exactly a popular opinion among a lot of MMO gamers, and I can kind of understand the sentiment, not wanting to miss something. Like, I really want the Molten Jetpack, but I'm not paying 3,500 gold for it.
You and me both.
Yeah. So that's one of those things where it's like, and I wanted, like, the holographic dragon wings. Would have loved to get those, but I'm not paying however many hundreds of gold those cost at this point. So it sucks missing something, but at the same time, like, it's nice to see an MMO have a past. Like, I like seeing the Watchwork Knight in Lornar's Pass. I like seeing new LA, if only because I know LA has changed. I like seeing the ruins of the Nightmare Tower in Kessex Hills, because it feels like time has passed. So.
Yeah, I always said, like, when Living Story Season 1 was going on, I was like, I always felt that was their answer to subscriptions. That's keeping butts in the seats, because you really didn't, that was keeping people there. And you could miss it if you weren't there. And luckily with season 2 and 3 and, future, you're now able to unlock it, but if you miss it, you're going to have to pay, which I always felt was fair on their part. Especially now that we have a 2 to 3 month gap. I mean, I can understand like a 2-week cadence. It was a little bit you know, the
Well, and
possibility.
a lot
of
of
missing it.
players want them to, and I don't know when they'll have the time or resources, but they really want them to go back and revamp Season 1 so that players who just started with Heart of Thorns can experience that content, which was, the beginning of Season 1 was very slow-paced and not too exciting, but towards the middle and end, when you sort of got those dungeons and the Triple Trouble Worm and the Marionette, which lots of people loved, they started to pick the pace up towards the end of Season 1, and it got much better. And that's what I think people sort of miss and want to re-experience.
Yeah.
When and how they can do that, I don't know, but it would be nice eventually.
Jasper just brought up a point in chat about cleansing ore, please. Isn't there a potential bloodstone down there? If we find out that stone behind the Crichton throne is a bloodstone, and if the White Mantle is targeting bloodstones...
I was gonna say, I think the ones that we know about originally were Bloodstone Fen, the one that landed back on the caldera, the one that's in the Shiver Peaks, but also has like a tunnel from Orish, but it's supposedly under the Shiver Peaks. It was the Bloodstone Cave.
Right.
I think there's 5 pieces total.
I could be wrong, but I feel like in Guild Wars 1 they sort of made not all of them, because there were missing ones, I think, but they made some of the locations known. The ore area is interesting because it's supposed to be the heart of ore, and you use Sylvari magic to cleanse it, which could have been really interesting with Madremoth and Heart of Thorns, and he actually corrupted ore for a different dragon. They could have totally did that angle, but they didn't. So I don't know. I would love to see maybe not that entire map reworked, but certainly an area of it or a part of it that goes green. You know what I mean? That becomes this cleansed area. But I don't know.
Yeah, or it starts to come out of the artesian well where they, like you said, where they planted the magic, like. Like, maybe that's why it took Mordremoth so long. Like, that's why he had to get supercharged to just get woken up, because look how slow that magic is moving in ore.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Astrolari is saying the entrance to it is matches up with the Straits of Devastation, but I think, like, it's technically, like, the cave is actually under... Which it's weird how, like, that it's a pretty far travel for that to be, but maybe they change it when it becomes part of Guild Wars 2. I don't know, but the entrances line up, but yeah, the dungeon ends up, because I think they even said a dev. I looked on the wiki way back that one of the devs said it was actually under the Shiver Peak Mountains, but. Yeah, I think we only know of the 3 out of the 5, and possibly the one that's Jenna's, if that is. Which
Kate listed a whole bunch of them out where they were located at. So Ring of Fire, Maguma Jungle, Shiver Peaks.
Yeah,
I might be missing one there, but yeah, basically.
So yeah,
we haven't heard anything about the Shiver Peaks one. Right? And we really haven't seen the Ring of Fire when we went to the Ring of Fire, but we didn't really encounter a bloodstone of any sort. So
yeah, I don't think we got close enough, because it's literally right in front of the door of Kamali. I mean, that's where we fight the Undead Lich.
Which we didn't get back to. We didn't see. So
not yet.
Not yet. Correct. Yeah, not yet.
Please. But any crazy wild theories?
No, I think you're pretty much supplying all of the crazy wild theories this week, Dale. That's pretty much your
what
shtick
you're talking
right now.
about. Oh boy. Well, I guess I have a theory if need be, but it kind of loops into one of the things that they actually put on 2 Facebook profiles. One of which you can see both here, of the White Mantle is on the left and the Shining Blade is on the right there. But, it kind of says, like, basically them trying to side with one side or the other. But a lot of people have already picked up on this. The White Mantle one, interestingly, says dismantle, and the Shining Blade one says obey, which, for people that aren't aware, this was a very similar tactic in Guild Wars 1 during the war in Krita, and we actually have here's the Shining Blade one 250 years ago, showing dismantle, and also the White Mantle one 250 years ago, obey, which you're probably like, okay, they switched sides. But weirdly, they literally have switched sides since 250 years ago. Like, now the White Mantle were guerrilla tactics in the jungle, and are kind of now the, I don't want to even say oppressed, but, they basically had to stay in the shadows for so long, which is what the Shining Blade had to do in Guild Wars 1, and now they're fighting back. Whereas the Shining Blade are now the part of the power. Yeah.
Right. So basically, whoever's in power wants to pay, and whoever is the resistance wants you to dismantle them. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm really glad that this had to have been on purpose. I mean, it'd be a weird coincidence if they were just like, oh yeah, those were the same words and on different, yeah.
Also, I like the new posters better. They're more sort of elegant and
look like posters.
They're more ones you would see in game.
Like you could get some like heavy paper stock and get them dyed and watermarked to actually look like that. Like that would not be hard to replicate, which would be pretty cool. No, I believe Crazy Killa that the line was "Make Krita great again."
Right.
Very true.
Yeah. Yeah, make Krita great again. Yep. Yeah, that title didn't surprisingly, the title, didn't necessarily go over so well with some people. Oh boy.
But yeah, on this note, like, of it all swapping, I think it's kind of interesting, and I'm, this time around, I'm seeing a lot of people like, no, we have to defeat the White Mantle. We have, draw the line. But if you look at the Shining Blade, are very much the White Mantle of 250 years ago in this scenario. Like, if the stories are true, that the Ministry is being more silenced by the Royals. I don't think we have actual evidence. I mean, from every story we've seen the Ministry talking. But maybe as of late, I mean, that's kind of been on the back burner. But it's kind of just
really.
Oh, go ahead.
We were never really given any real insight. Even taking the Noble story, we never really got much insight into the world of Crichton politics.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you mostly just got Caudicus bitching and being whiny. And Jenna is like, oh no, clearly there are bandits in your home. You should stay at the palace as my guest, so you are safe.
Right.
And that's like politics 101, is he's clearly a traitor, but we can't prove it, so let's keep him as close as possible so he can't do dumb stuff. Well, that's really the deepest we've ever gotten, unless I'm completely missing something. Because I don't remember anything.
Yeah, that about sums it up. We got a little bit more with party politics in Living World Season 2. So we got like a little bit more of a look into it, but nothing nearly as complete or deep. There's a lot of loose ends, basically, that they don't really tie up. So.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if this is the way it has to go. I mean, I think Caudicus might triumph of getting at least the people on this side, and I like it just because now we actually get to see possibly being the losing side. I mean, and I that's why I tweeted out. I'm like, that's why I liked Guild Wars and Guild Wars 2. Me and Royby used to, like, we would always try to see like the good in the Mersat and what they were doing. Like, the Mersat really were just trying to survive as a race in a horrible way. I mean, they were sacrificing people, but
yeah.
they, in a way, they were trying to protect Tyrion. They were trying to keep that gate closed. The only way they found out was we need souls.
It was one of those things that like, it's basically what Lazarus said. Our goal is to stop the dragons.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't exactly use the greatest methods for the rest.
I mean, it's not like they were sacrificing their own people. They found another people who would be willing to be sacrificed instead. I mean,
But it's kind of one of those things where it's like because my best friends have a 1-year-old daughter and she absolutely loves Zootopia. I keep hearing J.K. Simmons as the mayor saying it was a classic case of doing the wrong things for the right reasons.
Right, yeah.
And it's just, yeah. And then it makes you wonder, like, I don't know what the motivation of the White Mantle under Caudicus is, other than Caudicus just wanting to seize power in Creta. Because we've never really gotten any motivation. Like, why does Caudicus want power? Does he just want power because he wants to rule? Does he want power to do a thing? What thing does he want to do? Lazarus, it's pretty clear, stop the dragons. Lazarus's White Mantle has an overarching goal, and everything they do takes steps to reach that goal. I mean, like, that's basically what he said to us in the egg chamber with Aurene, is that it's like, I don't give a shit about any of you. I want to stop the dragons. That was my goal then. That's my goal now.
I wonder if we'll call on him at all to help defend Divinity's Reach against the White Mantle.
I think in the story we would, but if I was in that situation, I would tell them absolutely not, because once again, that would be like feeding fuel to Caudicus, because, like I said, if that's the case, we are literally turning table. Like, this is literally a mirror, because it's like, hey, we're these good guys, we're the guys that have all the power. We're telling you to obey. And we do have these unseen, this unseen guy that was a Mersat that, was... But no, we're the good guys. Trust me. Trust us. Just obey. Like, it's cool. Like, it looks very sketchy. Like, if there are Tyrion history books and they're like, wait a minute, this looks familiar. Well, this isn't good.
This didn't end so well last time. So when Queen Jenna says to all the ministers, look, we need to gather all the ministers up, go off with Lazarus. He's going to protect you and keep you safe.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and I was making like even further parallels of it. Like, the Seraph are the guards, like kind of the actual army of Creta. I mean, besides their armor, like they didn't go that full force with it, but their color scheme of their banners are white and gold. Like, I mean, if you look at Logan's, like his tabard for it is a white and gold color scheme. It's like, Jenna dresses white and gold, and that's where I came up with like the joke for Age's intro of, if you kind of actually turn Queen Jenna upside down, her dress kind of looks like the Confessor Dorian's hat. It's like, I don't think that's going to be a plot point for the story, but it's like the signs were there.
Clearly blue and black.
Yes, no, their colors are blue and black.
No.
Bravo, Rymac.
Well, the Ministry Guard is red. They
red and gold.
They wear a red tunic. Yeah.
It's like red and white or red and gold, but like that is one of the things that I wonder. Like going back to that other point is that like what's Caudicus's end game? Like I don't know what he wants.
His end game seems to be to take the throne away from the Queen and just be in control of Creta, humans.
Right, and it's one of those things where it's like he could be that dumb of a villain. And I'm not saying that's bad writing on ArenaNet's part. He could just be, I want to rule. And, there are people behind him who are like, yeah, if he's in power, we can do stuff over here. So maybe that's there. Maybe Caudicus himself is being used as a pawn within his own faction of the White Mantle.
Yeah.
Yeah, he definitely views the White Mantle as his personal army, like his personal, forces. During episode 1, there was a lot of books you could read from Justicar Bauer and I forget the other person with the other Justicar. But there was two different schisms within the White Mantle. There were Cauticus guys who wanted to weaponize Bloodstone. They wanted to weaponize the Bloodstone, and they were more of an army, you know. And then you had the other faction who wanted to resurrect Lazarus. And they don't care about weaponizing the Bloodstone, and they don't care about taking back the throne. They are there to serve their gods, the Mersat, and to resurrect them. And Cauticus doesn't care about that at all. He doesn't care about resurrecting the gods, the false gods, or whatever. And yeah, so it's interesting that the White Mantle themselves are split, and how is that going to play out? You know, how's it going to play out within the story itself?
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking of the name. Random question for a second, but how, when a snake goes in like defensive mode, how does it ravel? Is it the snake's head's in the middle, or does anybody know?
Wow.
Offhand? Sorry, but
I know you're going somewhere with this, but
yeah.
I couldn't give you the answer for it.
The rattling part?
Well, I would imagine
Sort of like a rattlesnake.
Yeah,
It's
like when
usually
they
the
kind of like
tail
curl up
ends.
like that. Yeah, when the snake coils, isn't the head, I would imagine, would be protected, would be kind of more in the center. But I don't know, if someone in chat gets back to me, and I'll run with that idea. But I don't know, it just kind of hit me here. But okay, the rattle is outside, the head is in the middle. So if a snake curls up, and this episode's called The Head of the Snake, if any reaches a circle, where would the head be?
Oh
In the
my
center.
God, Dave, really?
Where the throne is. I'm out. I'm gone.
Where's your tinfoil hat? Why aren't you wearing it?
Too funny.
Oh, I mean, that's why I always give, like, that's why I like ArenaNet, is they like to play with their words. And I think a lot of people are thinking the head of the snake, everybody's probably going to be looking to Cauticus. But, you know, right now Divinity's Reach is in a defensive mode, and they're referring to a snake. And I agree. It is a stretch. It's just something that popped in my head, and yes, and that is just me in general.
Yeah.
Oh, you trust me. You haven't seen nothing yet.
We can always depend on you for devil's advocate and conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. Why I liked Abaddon so much. It was him all along. I mean, eventually it's going to be, but, you know. Since this is only still the first topic, is there any other thoughts or... Sheesh.
Do we want to burn through everything else real quick and then...
Well,
Come
maybe
back
we'll
to
do
crazy
more
stuff.
stuff, because I honestly love doing this. This could, like, because, I mean, maybe we'll save my idea for the raid wing afterwards, just because that could probably take another half hour. And I already see everybody rubbing their face like, oh, seriously? Like, so maybe we'll save that for an after show thing. Maybe I'll give a quick blurb for just my idea out there, but, any other thoughts on Living Story Season 3 apart from the raid?
Can't wait.
Cool. Though, if you do want to pick it up, Heart of Thorns up until the 8th, which is so basically a day after, you know, the Living Story thing comes out, you can get it now for 50% off, and I'm pretty sure, you know, there's 2 people here that actually have referral links, so if you're looking for an extra account or a friend or whatever, you know, definitely use, I know Age and Inks both have referral links, so if you use those, it you know, supports them.
Where's your link at, Age?
I don't know. I made a bit ly link, so you guys can. It's like bit.
Where can they find it?
It's on my Twitch page. You can click on that banner there. aged. I forgot what I did it as. AGW too hot, something like that. So.
All right, so go to Age's Twitch page to find his affiliate link, right?
Yeah.
And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll try to get both of your guys' links, so I'll put them in the description, like with all the other links from the stories and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely if you're looking for an extra account or whatever, or definitely support content creators. But
remember too, if you buy it before the 7th, you'll get episode 3 and 4. You unlock both those episodes.
Well,
which is,
you have to log in. Like, not just
log
buy
in.
Yes.
You can get it no matter what, right? No matter what account. You just have to...
Yes.
Well, if you buy it on the 8th, you'll miss episode 3.
Is what he's in.
Thought,
you won't get it for free.
You can... Oh, I thought you can just log in right,
you can
right
make
now on a free account.
play for free. Yeah, you can. You absolutely can, and that will unlock the episode for you. I'm just saying if you don't have an account at all and you're buying a second account, or maybe you're brand new to Guild Wars 2, that if you buy it before the 7th, so say you buy it on the 6th, or maybe even if you should buy it on the 6th. So if you buy it by the 6th, you'll unlock episodes 3, and then on the 7th you'll unlock the new episode, and that saves you 200 gems. So gives you an extra 200 gems worth of value for that story. And you get Bitterfrost Frontier and
buy Ogden's hammer.
What savings? And it's 50% off, which is fantastic.
Yeah. So heck, have 2 accounts, buy one from each of them. There you go.
There you go. Just buy like 10 accounts.
Yeah. Apparently, Inks is making the money. I don't know.
Oh boy. Depot level, yes, yep.
Let us jump into what we know about the raid. They actually kind of just teased us with stuff. They have a teaser tweet here that just shows concept art, possibly I'm going to guess the loading screen of whatever the raid may be. And it's called Bastion of the Penitent. So I definitely didn't want to get it wrong, because I've heard people aren't going to let you live it down. Poor wooden potatoes.
I think I called it Pentnit or something. I mispronounced it, and people really don't like it when you mispronounce it.
Yeah.
You can't say anything wrong on the internet, or people will jump all over you.
Darn it.
So, once again, it's coming out the 7th as well. It's a 4-boss raid wing, and from the Massively OP article, they actually refer to it as the destruction of the Maguma Bloodstone has opened a mysterious portal in Bloodstone Fen, and beyond it lies a sinister and ancient place with little chance of escape. So, it's definitely sounds like it's going to be in Bloodstone Fen. I'm kind of curious where it's going to be. I mean,
a sinister and ancient place with little chance to escape. Why would I want to go there?
you're like, I'm
you
good.
have a chance. It's just a little one.
Because you have to smack the loot pinatas and get their creamy filling.
Oh,
To be fair, I like the motivation that the player characters have to actually go to raids is more than just I need to smack loot out of things. So
Yeah.
like the story threads seem to be a bit stronger. So with such an ominous name, I'm kind of excited to see what everything is, what all this entails.
Abaddon? I mean, what?
I mean, not yet. You just don't go full Abaddon out the gate. You gotta work up to it. Ugh.
I'm sorry.
Deo, you are the last person to follow the advice of you never go full Abaddon.
You gotta build up to it. It's baby steps. It's little, you know. Like Guild Wars 1. It's you play 3 games and then you find out with one guy.
Actually gonna look up penitent because I don't know what that word means. Feeling or showing sorrow and regret for having done wrong. Oh.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say I actually looked them up on Webster's dictionary so we could break them down. Bastion, basically a fortified area or position. They also use stronghold, so pretty fitting for a raid. But yeah, penitent. a person who repents of sin, or a person under church censure, but admitted to penance or reconciliation, especially under the direction of a confessor.
Oh, wow. Really?
And, if White Mantle is somehow involved, they tend to have a confessor at some points in...
Lots of points.
Possibly.
Oh,
Statues everywhere.
that could be fun. Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy this Raid Wing. I feel like we're gonna fight another ghost. Well, not. Oh, I guess, because the first Raid Wing was not really a ghost. It was more of like a culmination of spirits. But I think this time around we might actually fight some sort of White Mantle ghost thing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and I think Astralaria, like that's part of one of the things I was thinking of. Is this where we find Saul D'Alessio, which for people who don't know, in Guild Wars, well, even before Guild Wars 1, we got to play a little bit of it with bonus mission packs, but Saul D'Alessio was basically the one that founded the White Mantle because he stumbled across the Mersat, and they basically saved him and Kreiter from the Char invasion, but at what cost? We find out in the bonus mission pack that he gets carried. Basically, the Mersat slaughter like all of the White Mantle soldiers apart from him and 3 others, and they carry Saul away, and we never see him again. And I actually looked this up because I initially was like, what if this is Saul kind of repenting? And it's very likely because right before the Mersat take him away, like I think the narrator says, like, in this day he found out that, you know, these things were not helping him or anything like that. Like they definitely conveyed an idea of he messed up. Like he realized he messed up, which maybe he actually had, like, maybe it's either you fight him or maybe you protect him while he deals with his issues. Like, and originally it said 4 bosses. It's kind of interesting that there were originally 4 founding members of the White Mantle, and that would be Saul, Dorian, Justicar, Hablion, and I think Justicar Thom, I believe, or Tom, or something like that. I don't remember him too much in anything, but...
We fought Hablion in Bloodstone Fen, right?
Yes.
He's an event. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if he would be a boss, because, well, maybe, I guess. I guess he could still be a boss, but we have fought him once, like, in the open world, you know.
Well, what was it?
It's interesting. I wonder what happened to the other White Mantle guys.
I don't know why I'm thinking this, but I seem to remember them saying there were 2, like, definitive bosses and then 2, like, boss encounters. Or was that something I was reading elsewhere?
So I know that Crystal Reed had answered and asked me anything that the next Raid Wing would have 4 bosses, 4 real bosses, like a Veiled Guard and a Gorsible, and it wouldn't have events like
Escort,
Escort or Bandit Trio. It wouldn't have bosses like those. Like, those are technically bosses, but they're eventy bosses. So
okay, so they're going to steer away from eventy bosses.
We would see Veil Guardian and Gorsible type bosses.
To be honest, I kind of like the event bosses, because it kind of breaks things up a bit. Honestly, the escort at the start of Raid Wing 3 is probably the most enjoyable escort mission I've ever done in an RPG.
As far as escorts go, I absolutely...
I would say, that's not hard to do.
It's like underwater combat. Guild Wars 2 has the best underwater combat I've ever had.
You know, my problem with some of these event bosses, like Bandit Trio and like the Escort, is, you know, the first time I did it, or the first couple of times even that I did it, I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed that aspect. But when you start to clear the raid and you have it on farm status, they sort of wear on you a bit, right? It's just like, oh, I gotta do the escort event. It's gonna take whatever. Like, come on, I just want to fight the boss and kill the boss. You know what I mean? I don't want to screw around with Bandit Trio. Let's go to Matthias. You know, they become I don't know. At least I feel like they become a little bit tedious after a while. Don't get me wrong; they do have replayability up to a certain extent, but they have a little less replayability than an actual boss encounter.
Now that's one of the things I look at where it's like eventually anything's going to become tedious when you get to a certain point in a raid. But that I think is the quote unquote issue, is that there's not much raid content in comparison to other games. Because
That's a fair point.
technically based on, how Guild Wars 2 is built, we're going to be able to go back and play these raids years down the line. And the difficulty, depending on, player character options, the difficulty won't really change all that much. Because we're still going to be level 80. We're still going to have the same gear. Ascended stats are ascended stats. So unless they do some kind of major overhaul of things, which they basically have said that they really don't want to do because they don't want to screw with the numbers. That's why masteries were put in.
Right.
So it's one of those things where as we go on, it's like, okay, I'm tired of doing this raid. Let's go kill Veil Guardian again. It's been months.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I definitely understand that point. I guess I just have more fun on the big bosses than I do on,
I was gonna say, because you have a big baddie, because they do have to make it equal kind of one another. Like, they can't have like you're fighting 3 raid bosses like for trio, or it's like it'd be a little bit insane. So it's probably like, okay, there are 3 lesser people to surmount to like one bad fight. But so I could definitely understand where you're coming from, where it's like it might feel more like an event in the open world rather than maybe a boss encounter that's. Yeah, if that's the case, then I guess we're not going to be defending Saul through his penance
trials.
Yeah, but maybe we'll talk about this during the after show, since, like I said, time. But I do want to say, going along those lines of like penitent and people that are kind of dealing with that, I would say there's also another likely person that could fit that was before the White Mantle, that would fit into this Crichton thing and all that stuff. That would be a royal. And that would be that gets into a whole new slew of things, which, once again, probably not a good idea to get through on the show. But kind of talking about the location, like with the map, with the image, I know a lot of people are thinking Underworld. Like, I know a lot of people instantly gravitated towards that. I know some people were trying to compare like that door, that statue, to like the Grant statue. Yeah,
don't do that to yourselves, please, guys. I want Underworld as well. I really do. Me and Deo even made a theory that Shadow Behemoth could be updated so that when you defeat it, it opens a portal to Underworld, and there's a whole thing about that. But that's for another time. But do not.
No, you want to get into it?
No,
cancel your plans. We can get into it.
We'll do it after. But don't set yourself up like that. Just team low expectations. There you go. Just join my team.
Or join my team. Hype through the
We're
roof.
satisfied with the content no matter what.
Oh boy. Team low expectations. Wow.
Get that trending.
I thought you'd hear that one, huh?
Yeah, I highly doubt it's not. It's probably not Underworld by.
Well, so before we move on real quick, what do you think? So there's going to be story in this raid instance of some sort. How do you guys feel about that for the community in general? You think it's a good idea that they include the?
So long as there is a NPC gives you a brief like Bennett does. You can basically go up to Bennett in Bloodstone Fen and be like, dude, what the hell happened? And he will give you like an in-game, not non-metagame, like completely in context for what he was doing, bits of story for everything that happened. He will tell you what happened throughout the first 3 raid wings. And it makes you feel like you are tangential to that plot. It's good writing. It's well done. The commander, you playing through Bloodstone Fen as you are playing as the commander. You talking to Bennett gives you all the information of what happened in the raid, but it doesn't feel like you were there. You're not watching a cinematic that just kind of swoops through and gives you like a 10-minute tour of what happened during the raid. It's, hey, this other NPC is like, oh yeah, this stuff happened over here. So that's the best way to sideline, to parallel the story with the main story as the commander. At least that's in my opinion. So even if there are semi-major plot points, and even if, Daya was talking about Saul showing up in the raid, Saul is Guild Wars 1. Like, pretty solidly Guild Wars 1. Even though he's the founder of the White Mantle, and the White Mantle are huge right now, Saul's White Mantle are not the current White Mantle. It's been 250 years. So, Saul would be a side story.
Oh. Sorry, couldn't resist.
Put your hat back on. Anyway, Saul is a side story, effectively. Like, there are people who are like, that's not a side story. That can't be a side story. And, like, that was one of the things, like, when Deo was talking to me, I think when Raid Wing 2 came out, and he's like, if this is White Mantle, how can this be a side story? And then it came out that basically at the end, we basically found out that everything Matthias was doing with his cell of the White Mantle was basically just cleanup for what Codicus was already planning to do. So it was, even though it was White Mantle, it was still sidelined to what the main plot was. So even if Saul was involved, he's old news. He's a side plot to Guild Wars 2. He's major Guild Wars 1, but he's sidelined to Guild Wars 2. So would it be super awesome to see that kind of stuff show up? And I appreciate you containing yourself right now, Deo. I really do. It would be super awesome to see big plot points like that show up in the raid, so long as they're still separate from the trials of the commander, so to speak, and dealing with the dragons.
I've never thought about that. That kind of makes sense. Yeah. Because, now that I think about it, it's... Well, I can't really say since I've actually raided, but...
Well, so have I. But and I've experienced the content, so...
Well, have you played all of Guild Wars 1, too, though?
No.
Yeah, because I'm thinking about it from that perspective as well. So, from a person who's played all of Guild Wars 1 and is going into the raid, and if I were not a raider and I played Living World Season 3, would I be, and I got that synopsis, I think honestly I'd be okay with it, of like a synopsis of everything, including like Lazarus, all that stuff, but finding out more about Saul, I guess it would depend what the story is surrounding this raid wing, I guess. But
think about it this way, and this is just if Saul is involved, period. If you are like a huge history buff, and you go to, say, Gettysburg, I'm from Pennsylvania, so I'm just going to go with that, and you hear the story where like, yeah, there are literal ghosts refighting the Battle of Gettysburg. Like, this isn't just stories. There are people and news cameras, and there's ghosts refighting the Civil War right now.
Mm-hmm.
There are some people who would just be like, ghosts, wow, that's kind of cool. And then, the super buff, like the super history buffs would be like, holy shit, literal ghosts fighting this war that I've studied so much. And that would be, understandably, a smaller percentage of the population. So the people who are like the Guild Wars 1 buffs, I don't know what the percentage of the population is there, but it feels like that's like the history buffs of Guild Wars 2. and they're understandably a smaller percentage, and even putting larger plot points like that into a raid could get more people raiding.
That's true. Yeah.
And it would get more people to buy the game, because it's like Guild Wars 2 people, like, because I know one of the sentiments is I'm still waiting for a sequel to Guild Wars.
Right.
So it's one of those things where it's like, hey, they're progressing the story of these characters that you know and love.
Yeah.
One reason why I like the use of if it would be Saul is, like, I know you said like it's on par with it's in Guild Wars 1, it's old news, but I'm fine with it being Saul as a side story and maybe a reintroduction of something like that, because it's not even really Guild Wars 1 story. That happened before we did stuff in Guild Wars 1 or got to the point. Like, we really didn't know about Saul unless through texts and people talked about him, we didn't meet him. But, oh man, when they brought in Lazarus, I hunted that mother down in Eye of the North. Like, I deserved to see where his body was. Like, I was there. Like, but for me, like, I'm more fine with Saul as like the side story of still padding out the Guild Wars universe, just because that happened even before I, did it. But it's still part of the. But yeah, it's just, for me, it was a deep burn, like from a Guild Wars 1 player, where it's like you chased down the Mersat and one got away, and now that was behind a raid. Like, I could, I definitely see where people are coming from, where it's like that part was behind the raid. I just yeah. And granted, I know we didn't kill him there or anything like that, but it's like that was the reveal of like, wait, that looks like, oh my god, like,
dun dun dun.
Yeah.
Cue dramatic squirrel gif.
Yeah. And then we're gonna have.
What's interesting to me is that, the big complaint that I see is that people don't want to raid to get this story. It's not that, you'll hear from some people, I can't raid, I don't have the time to raid, and I understand that real life can be, and it generally is, way more important and time-consuming than playing a video game and forming that group or getting into the proper group so that you can clear the content. So I do understand that aspect of it, but then there's just people who just refuse to raid because they don't want to for whatever reason, but they still want that story. What I find interesting about that is I don't really remember, and maybe I just don't remember because it was 2012, but I don't really remember people complaining about the story in dungeons. All the dungeons had a story and had, the explorable paths all had stories related to it that were in direct correlation to Destiny's Edge and the reforming of Destiny's Edge. And so I just don't remember the same type of complaints from people who didn't want to do dungeons to now people who don't want to do raids to get that story.
And to be fair, Rymek brings up, like, the best point is it's not super hard to find someone with a cleared instance, and basically everything is told through interactable objects. There's really not much in the way of plot that happens during encounters.
Yeah. I was gonna
A
bring
little
that.
bit of dialogue or something, but yeah, it's very minor.
The only thing that I kind of miss, like that I would think people would miss, is the dialogue that happens between the players that are in the raid group itself. Like, I know when they started, like in Raid Wing 1 and 2, it was like if you'd walk past an area, one of the characters in the raid would say something, like one of the players would say something, and then in Raid Wing 3 they're like, now there's like conversations that happen back and forth based on the race makeup of the group.
Right.
So that's probably the only story you're missing, but those people are the same as you. Your characters are walking in knowing nothing about what's going on in there, and that's just them commenting on what's happening. Oh god, I gave Deo another theory.
Well, no, it's something we talked about a lot, like, saying a story thing, because, I agree, they should put story everywhere. That is one of ArenaNet's, like, I love ArenaNet's, like, Guild Wars 1 and Guild Wars 2. I think you could kind of tell after this. If you can't, good luck to you. But, like, and I think it was on the Kit and the Travelers podcast where you guys actually brought up you would like to see more stuff being that raiders could sell or give out, and we talked in the past about maybe the Usurns or the Priory can have some kind of device that would allow someone to walk through the raid instance and maybe have holograms fighting the boss so you could hear the dialogue because like you said there's not much dialogue, but honestly I was playing videos of Gorzabal fights when they were talking about how they interlaced voices, and I was like, maybe the voices are two different voices. That means it didn't, but I'm crazy, I know, but I played back and I wanted that. But what if there was this thing a raider could pick up a Priory device that as they progress through the story and unlocks and it will be a standard thing. It won't show the player characters because that would probably be a lot of tracking for them to keep track of, but it would unlock a hologram device that a regular player could go through and see this story and in this world play out through the hologrammed type thing. But
put it in the Dragon Lab in Timey's VR simulator.
Yeah.
Because everybody has access to that.
Yeah.
But I was going to say,
we
on
recompiled
this
simulation based on reports from the packed squad that was recovered from the area. And then it's Bennett's testimony and the other people that you helped save, and it's just there you go.
And I was going to say, because I was going to address, I never thought the stories were that hard in the dungeons, story modes.
Story wasn't hard.
Ever. I thought the explorables were.
Sure, yeah. I think that's what most people mean is explorers, but the explorables add it to the story. The explorables had its own lore and story involved with each path that you chose.
Yeah, it did definitely build upon it a little bit, but I think the chunk of the story of Destiny Edge, because you didn't go, the explorables weren't with Destiny's Edge, and ideally that's what the story was about, was them trying to get the gang back together. But so I mean, it kind of suggests that you would, in that scenario, have a story raid, which would be where the story would be, where you could have those escort events, and then the hardcore raiders could have just go straight up to the thing's face and punch it in the face, and then everybody's happy, right?
Like we said earlier, the raid stories are side stories to the main plot already. So it's like the explorable dungeon aspect of it to it. And I know nowadays dungeons are very easy and it's not hard to complete, but back in 2012, kind of a different story, Well,
and that's what I mean. I think the explorables were where they were I think they even said in one of their interviews, it was when people asked, why aren't you doing raids? And I think one of the devs actually said, explorables are our answer to raids. These are going to be the hard things. And then unfortunately, a month later, they nerfed them and then continued to.
We could go on with this. Should we turn this and move to the next topic?
Yeah.
Yes, we should.
All right.
Probably had 2 hours in here.
Yep, we're getting there. Well, we're battling right here about topics. Let's talk about some PvP. So apparently there's been a huge problem with Decay in Season 5. Oh, I can change the graphic now. Sorry about that. I thought we would never leave. But yeah, apparently Decay was... there was a huge deviation in rating gained or lost when trying to remove it. So it kind of turned into a double-edged sword, it sounded like. But honestly, I think everybody knows that if I'm talking about this, I'm clearly talking out of my butt about this. So I think I'm going to have to throw it to the two... Well, Inks, how often do you PvP? 3?
I PvP a lot, or quite often. I'm just not very good at it. I'm terrible. But I do PvP.
Then 3. You're all 3 more qualified than I am.
I can actually totally agree with this. I would get 50 or 60 points when clearing my Decay, and that's both ways.
Wow.
I've gotten 50 or 60 points on a Decay win.
Jeez.
And then it would go down to like 12 or 13 on a win after my decay was gone.
Yeah.
So yeah, like it was a problem, and I thought it was more like the system just being weird and being like, oh hey, your score moved up this much and you removed the decay of a game. So it's like you moved up this much and you removed this much decay, so your actual score is here. So that's what I thought it was. But it turns out that it actually is wrong in some way, and it's kind of crappy.
Yeah. So yeah, they removed that deviation for next season, so that won't happen anymore. But the problem is that if you're a really good PvP player, you could pretty much decay, and because your what's it called? Effective skill rating was that of like a silver or bronze player, you get easier matches, so you get easier points, and you would rank up overall higher than what you had.
And then not only that, you'd be abusing the same mechanic at the same time, and you'd be basically slingshotting past where you should be. So then you stop, wait for decay, do it again, etc., etc.
And now, the reason it's a double-edged sword is because the opposite can happen, and you could lose a lot.
When you lose a game during decay, you lose the same amount of points.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. One person on the forums, after one game, lost over 100 points after one game.
Yikes.
Though, to be honest, with the lack of an actual reward based on your division at the end of the season, it almost doesn't matter unless you're slingshotting yourself into title range.
Right. Yeah.
So,
and I think that's a problem, to be quite honest.
Like the pip system, like them changing the pip system to just rewards, fine, great, but I saw you tweet about it, Inks, that you were losing your way to legendary armor.
I did. I lost my way to legendary armor. I had a losing record, so I finished my 99 matches, and I don't remember my exact record, but I have a win rate of less than 50%. So I won less than 50% of my games, and I have as many legendary as many ascended armor pieces as I can have for the season. Like I got full rewards for having less than a 50% win rating, and I'm in like silver 2 or something.
Wow.
That just doesn't. Like I get it. I get the I get why you want to incentivize people, but I don't know. I feel like there needs to be a better way to reward players.
My general problem with the system in general is that okay, redundancies aside, I get that ArenaNet wants to reward people for playing. That's kind of the thing that they do everywhere. You get experience for mining and gathering and lumber and chopping down trees. Literally everything you do gives you experience. I get that they want to reward your time for doing stuff. But the problem in the league system is that there is literally nothing to show that I am silver 2, I am gold 3, whatever, other than if you place in a title granting slot. That's the only thing you have left is a title, and that's what, the top 250 people?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no incentive then to just play for all of the pip chests.
Yeah, so one of the solutions I thought of for the pip system was just not reward for losses. It'll incentivize people to actually win games. Overall, I think they should add that plus an end-of-season reward, but the problem is, like, what kind of end-of-season reward is good to give per division? That's good, but it's not, like, overly good, and it'll last every season type of deal.
I think they should give you more shards to buy more ascended equipment, depending on which division you fall into. I mean, that's
I actually have an idea that leave the pip system as it is, whatever, because generally speaking, that ascended armor that you buy doesn't matter in PvP because that armor it's just skins, right? So,
yeah.
What's the one thing they really like to give out? to show like prestige. Like they did it with WW weapon skins, right?
Oh, I was gonna say 2 blues
Sorry.
and green.
That too.
Anyway, so you remember WW tournaments? I know it's been a while, but we had the heroes' weapon, the Mistforged weapons, and the heroes' Mistforged weapons.
Oh.
You got you got a set number of tickets to buy those based on where your world placed in the tournament. So far, I think if your server placed in the top tier both times or 3 times, I can't remember which at this point, you could have 4 weapons at this point. I think. I can't be entirely certain. I don't remember the math on it. But honestly, you put at the end of season, based on your division, you get tickets. And given that we're getting roughly 4 seasons a year, for 4 seasons, there is a unique weapon set. And in order for you to get those weapons, you need a ticket. Make it so that if you're in Legend, you get ticket, and if you place Legend through all 4 seasons, you can buy all the weapons. And then scale it back from there.
The question becomes so a couple of things. Number one, people are saying like you get a badge, and yeah, I first of all I don't like the new badges, but I do get that you get a badge for that you can show off that says, hey, I'm a legend, you know, and if you on leaderboards, and hey, you get a title. But I don't know that Q is saying that it's this participation for showing up, and that maybe it's just the era that I come from or how I grew up. I hate the participation trophies. It bothers me to no end. You know what I mean? You were really terrible, but here you go. Good job, sport. You
hung in there.
Annoys the heck out of me. Yeah.
Well, see, that's the thing, though. There's 5 divisions, right?
Right.
Bronze, silver, gold, plat, legendary. There are 16 weapons because we're basically forsaking underwater weapons at this point.
True.
No.
And there are 4 seasons, so in order to get all 16, you need 4 tickets in legendary. 4 for legendary, 3 for plat, 2 for gold, 1 for silver, none for bronze.
Or half for bronze?
None for bronze.
2 blues and a green for bronze.
Yes, 2 blues and a green for bronze.
Everybody's a winner.
So that's the thing, though, is PvP, SPVP is structured player versus player. The whole point is to foster competition. And I take this honestly, this is even more lenient than the game that I'm pulling this from, League of Legends, because in order to actually get an account-affecting thing, because I honestly don't know who really cares about borders in League of Legends, because borders are like badges for Guild Wars 2, is you have to finish League of Legends competitive season in gold to get a unique skin for that competitive season. So I'm being lenient. You have to be in silver to get 1 of the weapons per season. If you're a solid silver player, that's 4 weapons. That's 25% of the skins. And then after those 4 seasons roll through, you put up a new weapon set. That's a new weapon set every a little over a year, which they can do weapon sets a hell of a lot faster than that. They can make them look like, honestly, they should look like Black Lion weapon chest or Black Lion ticket level.
Yeah.
And there you go. There is a structured badge of honor that you can miss out on if you don't PvP.
We've excluded the underwater weapons, right, Mac?
Yeah.
Oh, he knows.
Yeah, that's what the cap is.
That's what Bubbles wants us to do. We're screwing ourselves.
I like the idea.
Well, to be fair, there are no underwater maps in PvP, so you'd never be able to show them.
Good point.
Rip Capricorn. Old Capricorn.
Yeah.
Life isn't a musical request program.
That's an interesting one. But honestly, in the grand scheme of things, like, competitive game modes are where you should be putting rewards that you can't get if you're not playing at a certain level.
Yeah.
That's basically the point of them.
Yeah.
It
I
also
agree.
it also instills this mindset, and I felt terrible for thinking and feeling this way. But I would get into a match, and let's say within the first 40 seconds, know whether my pug was going to perform well or not. Now, sometimes, don't get me wrong, they would surprise me. We would pull out a win out of nowhere. But generally speaking, once a tone is set within the match of especially low-level play, that tone kind of continues and snowballs out of control depending on the map.
Mm-hmm.
But once it started to snowball out of control, I kept playing. It's not like I just stopped playing, but I felt like, well, still going to get 3 pips, so whatever.
I had a guy, I was playing a match, it was a Guardian, and we lost the team fight mid, but we were I think it was faux fire. We lost team fight mid, but we'd capped both the other points, and we had tripled their score because the fight mid had lasted for so long. And because we lost the fight mid, he AFK'd.
Yeah, and quite a few of them. I've seen that quite a few times. Not nearly as prevalent as you would think, but I've definitely seen it happen.
I half assume that that's because I'm playing in silver, and I'm still technically in a lower percentile. Like, I'm not playing with pros. I'm not playing with people that really know they need to watch their map, etc., or watch the score even. And, there are people who still chase kills at that point. I know kills give you some points, but objectives are the name of the game, But that's neither here nor there.
I had a match, this is really funny, I had a match where we were fighting, and we were behind by maybe 50 points, and I forget what happened, but we turned the tables, and we were up by 20 points, but it was super crucial, like we were fighting hard, and all of a sudden, one of the Necros gets killed, and he's just AFK, and I'm like, why are you AFK, why are you AFK? And he comes back maybe 30, 40 seconds later and says, sorry, I was making a sandwich. He didn't care, because when he went AFK we were losing, he was just like, whatever, the game's basically lost, I'm going to go make a sandwich. And he just AFK'd for like the next 2 minutes of the match. And it's like, we were winning by like 15 points at one point. Like, we could have totally retaken it, but because we're now down a man who went AFK, meh. I went to make a sandwich, I'm getting my 3 pips.
That is like the exact reason why I want them to update the report system so that they at least have a text field so I can say, this guy legitimately told me that he went to make a sandwich when we were down in points because he thought we were going to lose. And I want them to take a log of the chat so that they can see it for themselves and... the things, oh my god.
Age wants him to drive to that
case.
guy's house, check the crumbs on the keyboard, like...
Evidence.
He wants ArenaNet PD going out there.
Now, that's the only time that happened to me during the season. It's a super extreme rare case, but I've definitely seen people, they just decide to go AFK because the matches, they're losing, and they're just like, well, gonna get my 3 pips, let's just end this quickly so I can move on.
Hey, you can get 4 if you still try.
Yeah, you can get 4 if you...
Actually, Jim, what you said in chat's kind of interesting, that, it's too bad that there's just a report option and not a commend option. Granted, they'd have to find a way not to abuse it, but what if, like, to maybe try to promote positivity? What if, like, if you had commend points, like, maybe it counteracts if you have a bad loss, like, you won't lose, 3 pips, so you'll lose 2, or... Like, it might...
You lose rating now.
You lose rating? Sorry.
Well,
that's how much I have PvP.
Dicerate basically said that, there were 4 ESL players on the enemy team, and one of their players DC'd because it's like, I'll take the hit on my account, I'm gonna keep you all from losing rank.
Right, yeah.
So, like... that League of Legends, I know I keep pulling from that, but that's the only other PvP game I really play, has at the end of the game, you can honor an opponent, and that's the option there for, like, commending an opponent, and then there's friendly, teamwork, and helpful, something like that, for allied players, and all it really does is if you have a certain number of those votes over the course of your past X number of games, you get a little badge on your like, port on your
says you're a good guy.
It's like a red badge for like an honorable opponent, stuff like that. Yeah,
Still
but
get my teamwork one. I feel bad, man.
I've never had one over the entirety of the game that I ever over since the implementation of it, but whatevs. But yeah, like some way to commend someone or cheer someone. Let me send them bits on Twitch or something. I mean,
Here's a bit. 1 bit for you.
Twitch just perked up and was like, "Wait, we can do Twitch integration? What? Huh? What? What? Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, the guys in the Amazon marketing department are like, I'm sorry, what did you say?
Yeah." But I think we said this at the very beginning. I think it's just important to stress that this will no longer be able to happen in future seasons. So I think we said it like real quick, but now that we're really talking about it, I just want to definitely stress it again. So they're aware of it. They addressed the situation. So
yeah, honestly, I feel like Decay was just like really complicated. I feel like it could have been simpler. I talked about it in my last video, and I thought it was honestly gonna be done like this. So you have a grace period when you don't play PvP, and then when Decay starts, every 24 hours you lose a certain amount until it's a certain extent, pretty much like what we have now, I think. But I think it's like every hour or something. And then when you start playing again, you stop decaying and you have that grace period again. And then whatever your skill rating is there, you just have to start from there. That's it. That's all it had to be.
Honestly,
Super simple.
It needs to have a permanent effect.
What do you mean?
Every other PvP system I've seen is once you hit like a certain point in decay, it starts actually reducing your total ranking.
Yeah.
Like there's a max to decay, and then you play the games to get it back. But then if you hit that cap, like what is it, 700 point cap for Guild Wars 2? If you hit 700 points, when you start getting hit with decay now, it drops your ceiling. Like it literally drops your actual skill ranking. Because right now it basically saves where you are. And then as you play matches, the decay gets removed. The actual point value changes to your score happen, and then the decay is applied. But I'm talking like if you hit max decay, you should start losing actual skill ranking. But then again, like I said before, it doesn't really matter because your ranking doesn't matter unless you're hitting a title slot.
I'm gonna say just straight up lose when you start decaying. You legitimately lose skill ranking. No effective, no effective ranking. No minus decay. Nothing like that.
You're talking about use the current system we have, but don't do the temporary point thing.
Yeah, just like legitimately take off skill rating. But for that to happen, you would have to increase the grace period from 3 to 7 days at least. Because like 3 is way too short, and that's kind of penalizing if you like legit take off your skill rating right now. But yeah, that's all I feel like it should be. I don't know. It's super simple, easy to.
It's funny because I took a vacation at around Winter's Day, so I got in, played my placement matches, and then I just left. So when I came back, of course, I had my full decay. But under your system, I would have been.
Well, till a certain extent, right?
But no, yeah, I do agree though. Like it doesn't,
Yeah.
Starting to fall apart, Age. He's starting to go, well, we can make exceptions for you, Inks. And say, it's all falling apart.
Honestly, if that's, I knew the system worked the way it did, but if it worked the way that Age is proposing, then I just wouldn't do my placement matches until I actually got back to play.
Yeah. See, Chad agrees with me. 3 is way too short. I feel like 3 is way too short.
Well,
should be a week.
I keep wondering if there are people in chat that are waiting for the next segment.
Maybe,
especially now that he's on the show.
What would that next segment be, Jim? Would it be Gemstore? I really had no segue from PvP. That's what that was.
I was trying to help.
I appreciate it. Well, it's kind of full circle, because first up in the Gemstore, we're going to talk about Codicus stuff that's returning. The Gemstore, and always thank you to Dolphy.net. Check out Dolphy.net. We'll give you the ability to spend your gems more wisely, so check that out. First up, we have Lord Codicus's sword skin for 600 gems, and Lord Codicus's pistol skin for 600 gems. So these aren't discounted, they're just returning items. But you can kind of see them there displayed. Do any of you have these, or are you possibly picking them up? And I'd love to hear chat is going after any.
I'm not a huge fan of the Codicus stuff, so I'm probably not going to grab them.
The pistol. I still want the pistol. I don't have it. And I got gems on my EU account, but I used them already for Black Lion keys. Oh well.
Yeah, I like the skins, especially the pistol. I like the pistol more than the sword, but you know, I've been playing the game for 4 years, or maybe over 4 years at this point, right? Since before release, and I have bought a lot of Gemstore skins. I'm a slow learner, okay, but I finally learned. It took me 4 years. But I finally learned that, you know, I have so many skins in the game that unless it is so mind-blowingly crazy, I just don't spend money on Gemstore skins very much anymore.
But you gotta catch them all, right?
Oh, it's such a disease, really. I mean, so when gliders came out, I was like, new glider, buy. New glider, buy. New glider, buy. And then it got to the point where it's like, I don't even use any of these gliders. I use like 2 out of all the gliders I own. You know what I mean? But they get you with that shiny every time. And don't get me wrong, these are nice skins for anyone who owns them. Like I said, I really love the pistols. I love that style of pistol to begin with. So it's really incredible. But I just own so many skins anymore that unless these are deeply discounted, it's a hard sell for me.
Yeah, I think if Inks is distracted by shiny like that, I think he finally landed on the right podcast. I kind of agree with that. It's there are so many skins in the game, and unless you find a weapon skin on the Gemstore that like perfectly fits a look you're going for on a character, it's probably best to just kind of hold off. Like, I thought the latest Black Lion ticket weapons looked cool, but I didn't have a character that I would put them on, and I didn't really have the urge to change a character's look to fit the weapons. So, there's that. So I honestly treat Gemstore and Black Lion ticket stuff the same way.
Well, for me, I like the looks. I'll definitely put it on a character if I know I can fit it. For example, revolver, I kind of want if I'm doing double pistol because I don't have a second legendary pistol yet, so I would just put it on that. Sword, I don't have a legendary sword, so I would put it on that. Yes, everything I do is based off legendaries. Don't judge me.
Too late. We already have.
I mean, it must be nice to have so many legendary options.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Well, I do have secondary characters where like I don't equip the legendary skin because I want. There are other skins I like in the game, like Matthias' staff. I think my ranger still has a white mantle-ish look. Mm-hmm. Although he's not white mantle for some reason, I don't know why, but
he will be.
Yeah. If I had
I would use that 100%. Use random glider. Every time I glide, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Honestly, like when I saw they added the use random finisher checkbox for finishers.
Yeah.
I like that idea. Is there a box to equip no glider? Because I'd like that as a random option. I don't know what's gonna happen. Oh no!
Too funny. Sorry, Age. Sorry to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. I mean, but yeah, well, there are other looks that I like that I don't equip my legendary skins on, just because I like the skins. For example, Matthias' staff. There's not many other staffs I think I like. I think there's just one other one, but bow. That's another one I like. But There's not a lot of sword skins that I like, or I have duplicate skins on multiple characters, so I'd be nice to have people who have swords. I like to have unique looks for each of them, so that, you know, I just kind of like that as a multi-character person. So, but yeah.
Yeah, and I think I'm probably going to say the same thing, where it's like, you know, I have that look of that, you know, whatever particular character in mind. I feel like I've got the look of its weapons down, but if it comes out that Gemstore skin, it's like, oh no, that fits just a little bit better. But for me, you know, while I think the sword and the pistol look fantastic, yeah, it doesn't work on any of my characters currently. But yeah, like, you know, you definitely can get them for 600 gems a piece if it does. And like I said, you can see it here kind of in the lighting, but, you know, go preview it in the wardrobe and see if it matches with your attire, and then, yeah, pick it up before it goes away, because it is limited time. Next up, we do have stuff that is actually on sale, and you saw some of the stuff in the trailer. We have the Phalanx heavy armor skin, the Viper medium armor skin, and the Trickster light armor skin, all for 520 gems a piece, which is 35% off normally. And do note, these are armor skins, so it is per piece. You do get all the stuff the first time as one free transmutation over to that skin, then it will require transmutation charges. It is mix and matchable. You don't really get to say that very often anymore, but so I felt like we should stress it.
Yeah, Phalanx is my go-to for most of my heavy characters. I use part of it. I'm kind of surprised at how revealing it is on female characters. I don't have any female characters that use heavy armor. It's kind of a bit of a disconnect to see it on male characters and then to see it on female characters. It's like, what's with the exposed leg and boob hole and cleavage hole? Like, what? But I definitely have been wanting to pick up the Viper armor, and I might pick up the Trickster's armor as well, just because these are the things from the bygone era of before outfits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you could pick up all three for pretty close to $20. Something somewhere around there. So 3 armor sets for $20. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I don't own any of these sets, surprisingly. So tempting, definitely tempting.
My only problem with Phalanx is that the elbow plates are absolutely gigantic, and it just looks funny. So I've never used the gauntlets on anyone.
The shoulders or the gauntlets themselves?
The gauntlets, like the gauntlets have that giant elbow cap on them, and it just looks giant and dumb. So.
That's true. I have it on my Sylvari because the limbs are skinnier, so it kind of just works out that way. I have the Viper and Phalanx sets. They're pretty good. Don't use them on female, though, so I don't think I will, but, you know. Actually, no,
I use a lot of the Phalanx for.
I'll use
I
the
used
chest
to.
Phalanx.
But yeah, I definitely recommend the Phalanx. I definitely like the medium just because it is. Isn't that the pieces? Isn't that pieces of it used for Scarlets? If I'm remembering correctly.
Magitech is
a Magitech. Okay.
Part, and then she uses her gloves, helm, and shoulder pieces.
Okay. I think I was mixing them up because I think it looks similar, like because it kind of has like eye patches and stuff like that. And
maybe if a lot of people buy these on sale, they'll start putting more armor sets out instead of just outfits.
That's a whole hour-long discussion on that topic.
Yeah, as I was leaning away, I looked at the clock. I'm like, no, resist.
Yeah, I'm not going to start that right now because I actually have to leave shortly. So.
Okay. Oh, you started. Strap in. But no, yeah, definitely pick them up if you can. Like we said, they're 35% off each, so 520 gems piece. And like we said, I want to stress this: they aren't outfits; they are armor. So you can mix and match if you like one piece or not. But so. you know, and like we said, if maybe a lot of people buy them, maybe that entices them to look into more armors. Maybe not through the gem store, but other things. We don't know, but that's how we always say, vote with your wallet. That's the best way to reach a business, you know.
Absolutely.
But last up that's returning is the Metallurgic Die Kit. So you can see here it's going to cycle through all the different dies, the exclusive dies you can get out of it. 1 for 93 gems, 5 for 375 gems, and 25 for 1875 gems, and that's 26% off from the original price.
For a second, I thought all 6 for all the dies. I'm like, no. It's like my eyes have finally failed me on the different colors.
Yeah,
and
no.
I think we say this all the time. These aren't guaranteed out of there. You randomly get some common guys you can normally get, but these are like exclusive ones. Which
you can get one of 20. You can get one of 25 different dies, and these 6 are in there. So you have a 6 in 25 chance of getting these dies out of it.
That whole system needs to be reworked. I've said it for a long time. I own all of the dies because I'm crazy like that, but I buy them from the trading post. I don't buy these off the gem store and open them because you lose 90% of the time. That's not the actual percentage, but you lose more often than you win. This whole RNG die kit thing needs a rework.
I honestly, all of these rare dies, I get them from the birthday kits now. Because all of my characters are old enough to get those.
Yep.
I feel like they should just give you a 6-set die and just put it a little higher than the... So it'd be 6... How much is 5? Again, let me see. 5 is 375, so do 450 for 6, and it's just as... Or 500 for 6, and then there you go.
Yeah. Marketing would have the metrics on how many of these they actually sell when a brand new one comes out. But figure out whatever those metrics are, take the median price and sell it for that, where you get a random 1 of 6 of brand new dies, and then your doubles you can still sell in the trading post. Now that means that they won't be worth 500-600 gold sometimes, but I don't think that that's really that bad for the game. I think it incentivizes players to actually buy these from the gem store rather than use the trading posts. And
I was gonna say, which, like it or not, they are a business. They probably want you to buy them from the gem store, preferably over.
If they could give you a guaranteed die, there would be more people that would buy these.
Mm-hmm.
I would buy 6 every time.
But I was gonna say, as Inks was describing that, which I like that method. I'm just gonna play devil's advocate. I just want to put that out there now. I don't like this system. But do you think they also look at it as, okay, maybe I'll get doubles of one of the nice dies that are selling for 200 gold. Like, that's also an enticement to possibly get these, basically gambling, gambling boxes like the Black Lion chest or anything like that. So
I think they probably have metrics that tell them that it's still more regardless of what people are saying, it's more profitable for them to sell the gambling side of it, unfortunately. Just a guess. We don't have any proof of that. That would be my guess.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the only reason why they haven't done it, because, once again, they're a business. If they're seeing it as, we can make more money this way and people would be happier, they'd probably go that route. But, any final thoughts on the Metallurgic Die Kit? Sounds like try to hunt for them in the trading post, more so than risking.
Yeah, go to Spidey or whatever and see the market trend on each die looks like, to see how much they've dipped or if they've dipped at all in value.
Mm-hmm. All right, that is.
Well, wait for your birthday. Wait for your 3rd or 4th birthday, and
exactly.
There you go.
It's a nod back to Guild Wars 1. You're farming your character. You want him to be around for 7 years or whatever, because now you'll be able to get the expensive dies. But
do you have a character that's 4 years old?
Yes.
I have
2 of them that are 4 years old. It's funny. Because I own the dies, those die kits don't actually help me at all. They're just in my bank. But yeah.
Feel bad now. You think they did that out of spite, but But we can
No,
talk about
no.
that during after show because it's already been 2.5 hours. So if you stayed here through YouTube and no breaks, you're a champ. And thank you everybody in chat. But Jim, where can you be found?
I can be found on Twitter at MalthanusMMO. You can also find me here on twitch.tv/TalkingSkrit every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Zero to Hero PvP night here on Talking Skrit. We have a few people from the guild that show up as guests, and, invitation goes out to Age and Inks and Deo, of course. If y'all
I
want
like
to
how
join
you
in.
stopped. You're like, let's be
I
real.
waved to you last week. I did.
You did? I did. You need to jump around in front of me for me to actually.
I did do that too.
It's the odds.
My cue popped.
Yeah, the odds are I'm not going to see you because I have to turn all of my graphics down because my CPU can't handle it, and I have to buy new. So, but yeah,
Awesome.
Come around Wednesday night. Say hi.
Sounds good. Yeah, and I usually lurk in the chat. I'm probably not gonna be a PvPer, but I usually pop in to say. But Age, where can they find you?
Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Put out a bunch of videos this week. You can check them out. And I reached 500 followers on Twitch, so I'll be doing a giveaway. It'll probably be a pot of 500 gold that I'm trying to get. I think I'm almost at 400 by next week. So yeah, that stream should be coming this month. I'll put details somewhere. So about that.
Come win Age's money.
Yeah, take my money.
There you go. Sounds like a plan. And
I've been
Inks, where
talking
can
Ben Stein voice the whole time. Sorry.
where can they find you?
You guys can find me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube at MMOinks. Nice and simple. I've had a bunch of videos go out this week as well, and next week is going to be a really big week with the patch. Going to be a ton of videos, and I'll be streaming on the 7th and forward possibly, depending on how much raid progression we make. But I'll be streaming the raid on the 7th.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And you can find me at simply_Dale on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. And yeah, since it's a new living story, I'll probably do my Truly React and all that stuff. Probably record it on Tuesday, so have a dual stream. You can find out what the raid is and the story. You probably won't watch mine because mine will be more spoilery. So, but come out if you want to. You can if you're popping at the very end. We do put this up on YouTube. Just search Talking Skritt. Usually the first one that pops up. That will go up on Sundays at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you're watching on YouTube, like we said, we're going to talk a little bit more stuff about after show because we can't go any longer for a show. I would start to feel bad for making everybody sit here for 2.5 hours or upwards of 3. So just tune in live. We go live Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/TalkingSkrit. And as always, we will see you in the game. Good night, everybody.